Nitro is the glory. Welcome to the No Name RC podcast with your host tonight, Keenan White, aka Lefty the Great, and if you are unlucky, the Finnish village idiot, JQ. This is the RC podcast with no name, but plenty of content. So sit back, relax, and get ready for some serious bench racing.
Yes, indeed. Nitro is the glory, but E-Buggy pays the bills. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number 33 of the No Name RC podcast. This week's guest is 2005 two-wheel drive world champion, multiple-time European champion, and all-around pretty decent chap, Neil Cragg from the UK. Been with Associated forever. He brings up some really good points. I enjoy talking to him on the podcast. Really good guy. Lots of experience, lots of knowledge, and he's fast. So do enjoy it. Appreciate Neil for coming on. Thank you so much, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you to all of the No Name RC listeners or the NNRC Squad from around the world. Without you guys, we could not do this. I appreciate your support. We appreciate your support. You know, we're on episode 33. We're getting to 34. We're on the road to 50 podcasts. We're almost there. We cannot do it without you, without your support. And once again, thank you to all of you. Thank you to all of our patrons. You guys got the early release this week for the Neil Cragg podcast. We're trying to keep on top of that. We're getting ahead of the game. So you will get early releases from here on out, unless, something happens, like maybe I might be traveling or whatnot. So thank you for your support on Patreon. And we can't do it without you guys either. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Tekno RC for sponsoring the Grassroots Racer Spotlight. Assault RC for sponsoring the Invisible Speed segment. Also, thank you to JQ Racing for sponsoring the JQ Racing Rant. Thank you to BK Servers for coming on and being a sponsor of the podcast as well. I posted a video of BK Servers owner Bert Kammermer flying his helicopter, man. It's so amazing what these guys can do with these helicopters nowadays. It's incredible. It amazes me the amount of 3D stuff that they can do. So check it out. And remember, if you go to BK Servers, you can use the coupon code that will be attached in the link in the description of this podcast when they get the servers in. I know they're waiting to get the 8-scale versions out, but they do have the 10-scale servers that you can use as well. Thank you to Bipolar Designs, Jason Darlin. Remember, for all your decal needs, all your wraps and all your customization, he can do it. If you want your starter box and radio to match your paint job, Bipolar Designs can do it. Check them out on Facebook as well as Instagram. Let them know Lefty from the No Name RC podcast sent you, and you will get a discount, or they will hook you up with something. We have a new sponsor. Actually, we have a couple of new sponsors, but I'm just announcing one today. He's actually not new to the podcast. He's a good friend of mine. His name is Clint Treadway, and he's just launched his new RC-specific 3D printing and other goodies that he's doing. It's called 454 RC Works. Now, Clint is a guy who made the awesome skateboard deck that we are giving away for the Euros this week, but I'll talk about that in a minute. He does a whole bunch of engraving, but now he's stepping in more into the RC world. So if you go to www.454rcworks.com, if you use promo code NNPC2019, you do get 15% off all your orders. So please go check out 454 RC Works. They also have an Instagram page as well as a Facebook page. Use the coupon code and show them some love. By showing our sponsors love, you show the the No Name RC podcast some love. So thank you to Clint for coming on. I will announce as you guys see, we do have our new banners and our new RC podcast logos have changed, but I'll probably talk about that after the Euros here. So yeah, thank you. To Clint and everybody that sponsors the podcast, man. We can't do it without you guys, man. Show our sponsors some love. We appreciate it. A little bit of bad news. Actually, some very bad news. I talked about this a few weeks ago. My buddy Rob Birchall's having a benefit race for his friend Matthew Norwood. I believe that's how you spell his name. Matthew was diagnosed with cancer, and unfortunately he lost that battle Monday night and succumbed to cancer. So we have lost another awesome RC guy or person in our big RC family. I never met Matthew personally, but talking to Rob, he helped Rob out a lot with his track up there in Kentucky, and he just seems like a generally great guy. He leaves behind some young kids, some young children. He was a young man himself, so unfortunate, man. Cancer is just a scourge on our society, and we have to figure out a way to stop it, man. So I really, my condolences to his family and his kids and to all the RC community of Kentucky that knew him. Please go. Rob Birchall at his track called Chuckles RC. They're having a benefit race on the weekend of the 21st of July. All proceeds go to Matthew's family. He won't keep anything. They'll have raffles and whatnot. I believe Assault RC is sending some swag up there to raffle off. So thank you to Brent Densford for that. And try to support it, man. Unfortunately, we're one big family. When we lose somebody, it hits us all, So, yeah, unfortunate, bad news for us. Okay, so as you guys know, the Euros is going on. I was trying to get Max to come on, but they've kind of sped up the schedule. He has to have another practice round in because they have a threat of rain. RC Racing TV starts coverage tomorrow. They did give us a little small taste of it today. Tomorrow, they will do 4 qualifiers, and then on Friday, there will be 1 qualifier in all lower mains. And Saturday, they hope to finish up because they are under threat of rain. But hey, it's Europe, and they race in the rain. I hope it doesn't rain because I want to see some really good racing. But you never know. Guys are looking fast. They had seeding practice today. Boots is on top. Normal people on top. The track is truly Euro style. Very fast. Multi-surface corners, concrete corners. Lots of high-speed corners. Not so much big jumps. I am a bit disappointed in how the track looks. I was expecting it a little bit more color, more banners, more painting of the pipes, stuff like that. I do know that they had a lot of rain come before the race as well as Monday. I know they sprayed the whole track with molasses, and then the rain came Monday and washed a good bit of it away. But that they are actually racing after the rain, the storm that I saw that they had Monday, and they raced Tuesday. They had practice Tuesday, so kudos to the track crew. The Euros is always a race I enjoy to watch. I'm very, the Euros, Nationals, Worlds. It's 3 of my favorite races. And one of the reasons I started this podcast was to bring more consciousness to European racing and racing around the world. So check it out. RC Racing TV is going to do a great job of covering as usual. Nick Damon, Matt McCullen's there with control. They'll have pit walks and all that good stuff. They usually go all out on the Euros. So good stuff. Remember, we do have a giveaway attached to this, that awesome skateboard deck from Clint Treadway that's engraved with the No Name RC Podcast logo. We will be giving it away this weekend. So same thing as before, top 3 wins, but we're going to close we're going to give everybody to the last chance qualifier on Saturday to make their picks. So we know everybody that will be in the Euros. With that being said, pay attention to the giveaway. I do want to give away the skateboard deck. I want to keep it for myself because I originally got it done for myself, but I said I'd give it away to the supporters. Good stuff. Jeff has a big announcement on the JQ Racing Rant. As you guys might have seen, he was traveling to Idaho. A lot of people thought I was traveling with him, but no, I'm still here in the DR. I'm hoping to be at Wicked Weekend next month, so we shall see about that. Good thing is we have a lot of racing coming up. We have 10 scale nationals, 10 scale Euros. Remember, we have RCGP happening in less than a month in Asti, Italy, and a lot of these guys that are racing at the Euros will get to race each other again. Ronafalk, Canas, Boots, they get to race each other again every time they hit the track in Asti in a couple weeks. RC2 signups is open. If you guys want to be a part of RCGP, the event, helping to change RC, helping do things different in RC, go sign up and join RC2, man. Controlled tire, you got to worry about that. It's good news. Leonardo Volante, who participated and won the RC2 event in Fehring in Austria, He's been called up to the big leagues. He's going to represent S-Works for Jorn Newman because Jorn has a 10-scale race to go to. So S-Works has put him on the factory team for next round of RCGP. I do believe they have the dates sorted for the USA round, and they're just working on the location, just ironing out the wrinkles, all the details that will be announced soon. I guess, everybody's busy with the Euros right now, so probably after Euros we should know some more, which I'm excited to, because then I think I actually get to attend this round. So yeah, sign-ups are still open for RC2. If you're interested, go. Remember, RC2 leads to RCGP. So, excuse me, check it out. Nothing much to say. I kind of had my eyes on the RC world lately. Everybody's racing, man, and that's good to see. Lots of races happening. Everybody's all around the world, and especially in America. I've been paying attention. Like, tracks are racing. Everybody's racing, enjoying the summer. That's good to see. That's really good to see and very encouraging. One word of advice I have to people: club racing. Not every club race is the Worlds, and not every big race is the Worlds. Stop treating it like that. Go to these races, have fun. Enjoy being with people that are like-minded about RC. And if you don't do well, it's not the end of the world. The most important thing is that you have fun. I'd rather come off the driver's stand smiling I'll come off the driver's stand smiling no matter what. If I do well, if I do bad, it doesn't matter to me as long as I'm having fun. And remember, people, to have fun, do that. It's not the end of the world if you don't do good. Stop putting so much pressure on yourself. It's a club race. It's a race somewhere. It's meant to be fun. So that's my advice for everybody. That's my kind of like positive movement. I'm trying to do this new thing called, actually inspired by the positive RC movement, which is done by Enzo and Andrew Rizzo. I'm trying to have a positive moment on the podcast, and that's my advice, Lefty's advice for positivity. Don't treat every race like it's so serious. Go have fun, because that's important too. Well, I'm not going to ramble on anymore. I'm probably missed some things here. Yeah, lots of racing coming on. See, I get tongue twisted. Lots of racing going on. Enjoy the Euros. Check them out. It's going to be awesome. And stay tuned for the giveaway. You guys know the rules. I'll be posting that up today probably. And hey, thank you for all the continued support. Do enjoy the podcast. And we are working on episode 34 already. And remember, also, if you want to be a part of the Tekno RC Grassroots Racer Spotlight and you have contacted me, please contact me again, because my messages get pushed on Facebook, and I'm not like super popular, but I get so many sometimes that the messages get pushed on and I miss them. So contact me. We will be recording over the next few days here, and I want to hear your stories. So thank you all. Enjoy the podcast, and thank you for all the support. Enjoy the Euros coming up too.
You are now locked in to the Assault RC Invisible Speed segment. Check out AssaultRC.com for the latest products for all your performance RC needs. Featuring the best lubes and specialty tools on the market. Use promo code LEFTY19 at checkout for 10% off your entire order at AssaultRC.com.
Welcome to the Assault RC Invisible Speed segment. This is the part of the podcast dedicated to all of your setup questions. If you guys have any questions that you wish to ask Joseph or Max, if he's available, whichever one we have on, just send it to us via private message or post it on the Assault RC thread that's pinned to the top of the No Name RC podcast Facebook page. So this week, our question comes from my boy Andrew Rizzo of the Positive RC Movement. What's up, Andrew? How are you? He wants to know, Joseph, how do you determine when and how to run a split hole piston, and what effects does it have compared to pistons with the same size holes?
Yes. Well, I think the split hole piston, what happens there is you can increase the hole area. So you get the suspension to be more plush, softer at low speed, but it still has enough pack. So going to making all holes bigger, sometimes what happens is The suspension is plush and handles low speed bumps well, but then you lose pack. So then going to a split hole solves that problem, because you get the suspension to be more plush and softer at lower speeds, but it still maintains good pack. And the fact that the holes are different sizes, that affects how the shock packs up, and it does so sooner than if you had all the holes the same size. That's been my experience, at least.
When and what conditions would you choose to run these type of pistons, do you think?
Well, if you have a track that has big jumps and you need pack for the jumps and the landings, but then the track gets rough and you feel like it's not handling the rough sections that well, maybe that could be a good situation to try that.
Okay. Being as we're talking about shock pistons, let's talk about a few that you've used. I know you like to use the ultimate shock pistons, with the tapered holes. What do you find different about these type of shock pistons?
Similar kind of thing as what I just explained. So the angled holes have a similar effect, where you can set the suspension to be soft and plush, but it still has pack. So it's actually a similar deal.
Okay. And well, we're just going to talk about it because we're talking about shock pistons at the moment. What about the MIP bypass valves? Do you know how they work? Can you explain how they work and what the purpose of them are?
I know how they work, but I haven't tried them. I know MIP are making some pistons now for the JQ car, but they haven't sent me any to test yet. So we'll see how they go. But basically, the way they work is there's a shim or a stack of shims covering holes, so that one direction the holes are covered, and then the other direction the shims will give way and open up the holes. So I believe the way they run it is the shims are on top of the piston. So when you you land from a jump or you hit a bump and the shock compresses, the whole extra holes are closed, and then when it rebounds, the shims give way and the holes open up, and the shock will rebound faster. So but it just changes the damping for each direction. So compression and rebound will be different. And then they have different thicknesses of shims, which affect the point at which the extra holes open. So it will be interesting to try.
Yeah, hopefully you could get some soon and try them out and see if they. Well, I mean, a lot of people are claiming that they worked. I know a couple of guys have tried them in their cars up in the Pacific Northwest, and they like them. It'd be interesting to see your opinion.
Yeah, so far all those special pistons, except these ones with just simple angled holes or conical pistons, all of these pistons with flaps or shims or whatever, they tend to be the kind that you have to set it up for one track, and then you go to the next track, and then they don't work, and then you have to set them up for that track again. Now, people are claiming with these MIPs that they just work everywhere, same setup, and they're really good, but I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, you got to try some. So MIP need to get you a few to try out, see how it works.
Yep.
Sure. Well, anything to add to shock pistons before we move on? Well, I have a question for you. Why do you like 7-hole pistons like the most?
They just work the best. So 8-hole pistons on the JQ car, at least, they work well on smooth tracks. Then you go to a rough track and they don't work anymore. Less holes. You can get them to work on some tracks, then you go to another track and then they don't work as well anymore. So the 7 holes, it's a good compromise. They just seem to work everywhere. Smooth track, high grip, loose, really bumpy, small bumps, big bumps, whatever the conditions are, the 7-hole pistons are always good. I haven't come across a situation where they wouldn't be good. So it's just one headache less. You just run the 7 holes, 1.25, 1.35. It's always a good starting point. And then you can just really fine tune from there to go. For example, if the car is a bit nervous, twitchy, you can go to 7 1.3s in the front instead of 7 1.25. And that's already going to help. So yeah, the 7-hole has just been really good, and it actually works on other cars too, but people are somehow just stuck in their ways, and they go 6-hole or 8-hole. But yeah, I think 7 is the best.
Good stuff. Well, thank you, Andrew, for the question. Keep up the good work you guys are doing there at Positive RC Movement. Go check them out on Facebook, everybody. Remember, if you guys have any questions for the Assault RC Invisible Speed segment, send a message to the page, or put your question on the pinned thread. I know we have gone over quite a few questions. I can't remember everything we've discussed on this. So if we don't ask your questions, we've probably gone over it already. Also, remember, go to assaultrc.com, type in Lefty19 and get 10% off your order. And thank you to Assault RC for bringing you this segment.
Hi everyone, this is Mike Craddock and you're listening to the No Name RC podcast. Enjoy.
So hey everybody, this week's guest on the No Name RC podcast, coming to us all the way from Shorley, Lancashire, England, or the UK, 2005 two-wheel drive world champion, Neil Cragg. What's up, Neil? How are you? Can I call you Craggy like everybody else
Yeah,
does?
of course you can. Everyone else does. So how you doing, guys? You okay?
Yeah, thank you for coming on. I've been following your career for a long time. You're probably one of the most decorated and seasoned, and probably one of the best drivers to come out of the UK and Europe period in the last 20 years. So I'm super happy to have you on here, man. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, it's awesome to be on. Thanks for having me.
So just in case people don't know, your name's Neil Cragg. You've been a factory team associated driver for how many years now?
I think this is my 21st year now, yeah.
Wow. You're like Mick Craddock has been with Kyosho for like 35, since they started, pretty much.
Oh, when RC first started, Mick Craddock was there.
Oh, yeah, I did. We did a pretty cool podcast, and he's been with Kyosho for a long time, but then again, you've been with Associated for quite a long time. That's pretty amazing. You don't see that much in RC at all.
No, you don't see it that much these days. You know, there's not a lot of loyalty, and, you know, people always go for the big money, but Associated have always been good to me. You know, my hero growing up was Greg Drescher, and so he got me on board, and they've never, you know, I've never even thought about leaving, to be honest. They've always been super good and looked after me and my dad, and, you know, I couldn't thank them enough for what they've done for me.
Awesome. That's cool, man. Loyalty does mean something, from brands as well as custom as drivers. So I'm big on that myself. As a team manager, whatever I do at JQ Racing, I haven't figured that out yet. All right, and you're a 9-time European champion, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Is that have you won? How many times have you won both 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive at the same year?
I think I've only done that twice. I did it twice, 2003 and 2008. I can't remember how many 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive I have. I think it might be like 6 2-wheel drive and 3 4-wheel drive, I think.
Are the majority of these races on dirt, or a few AstroTurf tracks as well?
They were all on dirt, I think. Yeah. The Euros is pretty much always on dirt, so yeah, they were all on the good old clay.
Well, like 2015 was at Robin Hood, wasn't it mixed? It was a nice track. I like Robin Hood. It's a really beautiful facility.
Yeah, the guy who runs it, James Helliwell, he's done a really good job because we have a good AstroTurf track there that we use for our nationals. It's really well prepped. It looks nice, and then he built this dirt track next to it. It's dirt track it's got like carpet on the upslopes just to save the jumps, basically.
Yeah, it's a great facility in the middle of nowhere, but it's a great facility.
Oh yeah, it's literally it's in the sticks. It's in farmland, but yeah, it's kind of like the centre track in England. It's where a lot of people go to practice because it's pretty close to everywhere. So it's nice. It's one of my favourite tracks in the UK.
Yeah, I always say this whenever I have somebody from the UK or I go on another podcast. It's incredible how big RC, well, especially 10 scale is in the UK. I know 8 scale is big during the summer because obviously it's a weather thing, but man, there's tracks everywhere, and I mean lots of just filled up tracks. Like I used to go to Silverstone a lot, and when I was in the UK, and it was just like go up during a Tuesday night Royal Oak, AstroTurf, set up the rostrum, set up some jumps, and you got a different track every week to race on. So that's pretty cool too. I like that about the UK. Lots of racing going on, easy to do.
Yeah, we have loads of clubs that they just go all year round. They go indoors in the winter and they just chuck some carpet down and some pipes, and we've got a track, and then they can go outdoors. And like you say, Silverstone's probably one of the biggest clubs that we have now, and their carpet season, they get like 100 people on a Wednesday night. You know what I mean? That's ridiculous. So yeah. It is good to see. The club scene's always been strong in England, which is what you need.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that's missing from the US side of things, is that they don't really have clubs anymore. I know it's big in Europe, especially in the UK, and it's good to have. Clubs are always great. You know, it has an organization, and it allows for new people to come in and learn as well.
Oh, it's definitely. Everyone's got to start somewhere, and they do normally start at the club level, and if you don't have them, then we don't get the new kids coming through. Yeah,
we definitely need new people in, man. I am a big, I don't even know the word to use, but I definitely want to see new young kids getting into the industry, or just new people, period, because we definitely need to grow it somehow. So clubs are a great way of doing that, most definitely. Okay, man, let's start with some of your early beginnings. I don't really know how you got into RC. It's a question I always like to hear it. I mean, everybody kind of has the similar story. It started with their dad. So how did you first really get started in RC?
Yeah, I'm the same. My dad and his friends, they used to go down to like the local school, and they had just that he used to just drive on the car park there with his friends. And then they decided to start a club up between themselves, and they went down to the local sports centre and hired the hall out, and that's what he did. And then they used to have like a Christmas meeting where it's like a fun meeting where you could dress your car up and stuff like that. And he took me down. I was only like 7 years old, and as soon as I saw it and I did it, and he let me drive my car, I was like, this is what I want to do. This made sense to me, and loved it. And I was pretty much hooked straight from then.
Did he race while you raced as well?
He used to, yeah. He used to run the club, and then he used to do a bit of racing, and then I used to race. But then he could see that I was going to take up a lot of time, so he quit like after a couple of months. He used to race. He raced for like a year before me, and then but he realised he thought I might be able to make something of this little kid. So he started. He quit. He put his career on hold so I could have one, which was good of him.
What car did you first drive, or what car did you first own?
Yeah, my first ever car was it was called the Schumacher Cougar, but I think they call it a Club 10 now. But it was the original, very first Schumacher Cougar. It was like 1990. That's what I got for Christmas, and it was awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Was this the one with like the laid-in shocks and all that stuff?
It was the one after that.
Okay.
I can't remember if that's called the Top Cat or something like that, but it was it was the two-wheel drive version of that. Yeah, but yeah, the shocks were stand up. It was just your basic starter car, big tub metal chassis, and it was awesome.
That's awesome. Who were some of your early influences in RC when you first started out?
Well, when I first started in the 90s, and I started doing clubs and regionals and stuff, there was only one guy in the UK who was everyone's hero, and it was Craig Drescher. You bought the magazines and you saw him, and he was national champion and European champion, and he was someone who instantly, even today he's still my hero, and it's someone that a lot of kids my age looked up to. Craig, and yeah, he was definitely the standout name in England for us.
Yeah, does he still race? Does he run CML, or what is that who does AE in the UK?
He actually still works for Team Associated. He doesn't race anymore. He races, maybe a fun meeting once or twice a year, but he works for, he's like head of Europe for the AE side. So he still goes to all the race meetings, and he's still very heavily involved with the team, but he doesn't actually pick up the sticks anymore.
Now, in this time, were you guys racing on turf, or was it the grass tracks, or you just make your own tracks, or was there dirt tracks? What type of tracks were you running in back in the 90s when you was a kid?
Yeah, we used to run. So I used to race. We used to just do club meetings. I never did any practice. I just raced all the time. So we had club meetings on like Friday. And in England, it's a bit different than America. We do all our racing at the weekend. We don't do much through the week.
Mm-hmm.
So we was club racing on Friday on carpet, and then carpet again on the Saturday night, and then on the Sunday maybe a little bit of AstroTurf. But there was dirt tracks around in the summer, but we did do a lot of we did a lot of racing on the carpet and AstroTurf and grass as well in the summer.
Okay. When did you start having some victories, and you kind of knew for yourself that you can be good at this?
I started. That's a good question. I started doing nationals in 1994, so I was about 10 or 11 then, and won a couple of junior championships, which was, there was like the world championships back then. They were so important. But I don't know, when I first started making A finals at nationals a couple of years later, I think I was so young, and I think people could kind of see that, he has the potential to be quite good. But my first victories the first national victories came like the back end of the 90s, like 99. I won my first national championship, which was just a dream come true, and kind of went from there really.
Yeah, who was your first sponsor at this time? Because this is back in the days when you had to earn a sponsor.
Yeah, you didn't just turn up and just get sponsored by anyone. I used to run for. My dad used to have a model shop, so he was pretty much my first sponsor. He was called Mixed Models, and then I eventually went to CML and then moved up to Team Associated. Well, Craig saw a bit of potential in 1998, and I think he wanted someone to replace him as the big guy in England. And obviously, because he was my hero, I was never ever going to say no to him. So
that's a dream come true, isn't it? I would say so.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it was good times.
So you've pretty much just driven Associated all your RC career, pretty much. Well, I mean, yeah, it sounds like it. 20 plus years.
Yeah, from 1998, I've raced Associated cars, especially in two-wheel drive.
Okay.
But yeah, all the way through.
So I have a couple of. Someone told me to ask you about a driver stand story that happened when you was young. They didn't elaborate. They just said, ask him about the driver stand story.
Yeah, I don't have it. I can't remember anything that's happened crazy on the driver stand.
He said if the driver stand fell down or something like that.
Oh my God! Yeah, who's asked you that?
Max. I don't know where he heard it from.
Wow. Yeah, that is. I've forgotten about that. Yeah. So it was one of my first regional events that I did, and we used to build the driver stands out of scaffolding. Back then, it was late 80s, early 90s. Health and safety wasn't a thing, and it's quite a windy day, and they had a big banner along the front of the driver stand that was acting like a sail.
No way.
So we were driving, and I felt it was. I think it was only practice, and I felt it rock. I mean, I was literally 8 years old, and I felt it move a little bit, but you didn't think anything of it. And then all of a sudden, it just toppled over. And luckily, I was so young, I kind of just held on and rode it down. But some guy broke some ribs, and another guy broke his leg, and it was not very nice back at the time. Well, you'd never see it these days. Because,
you get sued. They'd sue you in a heartbeat, but they wouldn't allow that to happen. To be honest.
Yeah, it was silly back then. You think about it, you look at it, and it seemed silly, but at the time, you never thought anything about it. But yeah, that's a great question. I was pretty impressed that someone can remember that.
Yeah, I was talking to Dagani, and because we go to a lot of races, and he keeps telling me about the 2000 Worlds in Vegas when they had a scaffolding driver stand as well, and it was about 3 stories high, and he says that was the sketchiest driver stand they were so high. First off, you're 30 plus feet in the air, and it was just rocking back and forth with 10, 15 guys. How many guys they had up there, man? That's crazy. Imagine if that would have fell. That would have been insane. All right, well, I know you and Lee are really good friends. When did you first meet Lee? Because he's a little younger than you, but I mean, when did you first meet Lee, or Leroy as they like to call him?
Yeah, Leroy. I think I christened him Leroy.
Really?
I've known Lee for a long time. I think I met him maybe 99 or 2000. was when he first started coming through, but he was a little bit more of a. Back then, he wanted to go out. He wasn't too serious about racing. He wanted to
hang out.
He was 17, 18. He wanted to go out partying and living a good time and enjoying himself. And it was only a few years after that where he really knuckled down, and that's when he realised he wanted to be who he is today. And it's good to see. And I am good friends with Lee. I've known him for a long time, and we go. Our families are good friends, and we go away for weekends together, log cabins and stuff like that. And he's very similar to me. He is a little a little younger than me, but we have the same interests and we love racing. We're big rivals on the track, and we want to beat each other all the time. But away from it, we get on really well.
I think you guys look like brothers or cousins or something, man. I always thought you guys were. I was like, man, these guys are two brothers that are racing.
Yeah, just two good-looking guys, right?
Yeah, I was looking at some of your older pics, like back in the Justin Bieber hair days and all that stuff. I was like, oh yeah, yeah. He came on this podcast. He was one of my earlier guests on the podcast a few months ago, earlier last year, and he was telling me about like he just didn't take it seriously, and he was partying and having fun, and then he just kind of got his shit together, and he's doing good now, world champion.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's a world-class driver now. Yeah. He's very good. He's very very competitive, and he's he works hard at it. But that's what same as any sport that you do. You get out what you put in.
All right. Now you've been doing all this 10 scale. When did you get introduced into nitro 8 scale?
I've been doing nitro probably since the late noughties, maybe 2007. Maybe 2006, 2007, where I started doing nationals and stuff like that and getting into it. Because it wasn't, 10th scale used to be the biggest class. And then it was only around then where 8th scale was starting to get pretty serious. So, yeah, that's about when I started. But
the amazing thing is you really don't race 8 scale much, but you're always in the semis or in the finals of these big races. I don't understand how you can do it. Like you just popped in, I think you... was in DXR. You made the finals, correct?
Yeah, I made the final there.
And when was the last time you raced an 8 scale before that?
I always try and race. I always try and get like one race in a month, be it, a club meeting or a big meeting somewhere. But yeah, it's tough to do two classes at the top, but you do what you can. And the good thing with gas racing is that the qualifying is not mega important. I never take it to. I'm not too fussed if I'm TQ or not. If you TQ or top qualifier, it's always nice, but
you still got to race.
You can qualify last and still win the meetings, right? Yeah. So,
what's your most memorable 8 scale race?
It's definitely my finishing third at the Euros in Redovan. I think it was 2016 because it was. The track was so big. It's the biggest track I've ever raced on, and I didn't go to the warm up. I think it's like 56-second laps.
Yeah, it's badass. It's big,
but it's an awesome track. Awesome, so good, so enjoyable, but so hard to learn. And in practice, so if you have a 5-minute practice, you're having 5 laps to learn. So I was pleased. I'm always pleased if I make the final at the Euros. I'm super happy because it is tough to do. But I just kept going in the final. And a couple of people had problems, like Battle and Ronald. They have flameouts or they have problems, and I just kept going. And I was absolutely ecstatic to finish on the podium. It was so hard. It was it's what it's like at 8 scale. In 10 scale, you kind of if you have a win, you win it. But if you have a big result in 8 scale, it feels more of a team game with your pit crew and your team. Yeah, I was so happy for it.
What about and that track? I remember that race. First, Ronafalk broke. I think he broke a servo. Then Battier flamed out, and Boots got the win. And that was a good. Hey, that's all part of racing, though. You got to finish first. You must finish to finish first. So, but that's a big track. Great track. I'm surprised they don't have more races there. Baldo Brothers and whatnot. How about in the Worlds? What's your best finish so far in 8 scale at Worlds?
I finished 13th in Italy, which is it was the fastest guy that wasn't in the final, it's the only thing that I've not achieved that I wanted to achieve in racing is I'd love to make a World Day final at 8 scale. that's something that I'd love to do. You know, I probably should have made it in Italy. I didn't drive that good in the semi-final and too many crashes, but you know, it happens. It's tough going at the top, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, 2020 in Brazil next year. You think you're going to be there?
Hopefully. I mean, I don't. We didn't go to Brazil a few years ago because it was meant to be dangerous, and we went to Argentina instead. And now we're going to Brazil again. So I don't know.
I don't think it's that bad. I was talking to, because I have a couple of guys that race there, and I'm pretty in tune with the South American. Where the track is, and just outside of Sao Paulo, it's not bad at all. It's actually really nice, they were telling me. I've seen the track and whatnot. I think you guys will be fine, man. Don't worry about it. Now, you know, if it was in the middle of Rio de Janeiro and the favelas, then I would definitely say no. But
yeah.
I don't think so. I think one of the biggest issues of Brazil and South America, like it was in Argentina, is getting through customs, because they just rake you over the coals, you know, trying to get money out of you. I know how that works. So I don't think anybody should be worried about safety going into Brazil. I think you should go.
That's good then. Yeah. I think it is. I think it was more the getting your visas and getting your things into the country was a big problem. But I mean, you know, it will be fine.
Yeah. Well, you are a world champion in probably, now I'm kind of biased because I think nitro is the glory. You, like I said, you are a world champion in two-wheel drive. I'm kind of biased because I believe the 8-scale world championship is probably the hardest championship. Off-road championship is the hardest to win, because there's only been one guy that's won it twice, and nobody has done it since, or anything. But two-wheel drive buggy is, for me, the second hardest world championship to win, and you have one. So let's talk about that in 2005.
Yeah, it was. It's pretty much the proudest moment of my life, you know, to be a world champion in your chosen sport, and it was a dream come true. I always remember sitting down with my dad when I first started, and he said, "What do you want to achieve?" And I said, "I want to be world champion." And it's not something that we really, you know, it's not something that we do a lot. We're not a competitive family or anything like that. But I remember saying it, and to win it with my dad there and my mum still with us there, it was a dream come true. I'll never forget it.
Where was that race to?
It was in Italy at a track in a place called Tekno, it's like northern Italy. But yeah, we had a couple of Euros there and the world, so I'd done, you know, quite a bit of practice, which helped me out.
Yeah, you must have been well chuffed about that, and you beat some fast guys to do it too. I think it was Cav and Mayfield you beat.
Yeah, Mayfield was his first world, so he was a little. I knew who he was, and he was up and coming, and he was already super fast. But Cavalieri was the man to beat, and he just signed for us about 2 or 3 months beforehand. So, and you know, he's Cavalieri, he's world champion, and he was. Back in 2005, I felt like I was maybe one of the 2 or 3 best drivers in the world. I was at my peak, and it was always a battle to try and beat Cavalieri, and he TQ'd, but I managed to beat him in the last leg. I literally led for the last 2 laps, and that's all I needed. And it was amazing. It's something that I'll never forget.
Yeah, that's good. Speaking of dirt, why is it that you seem to be really good on dirt tracks when it's really not a very popular surface in the UK?
I honestly can't tell you. We used to race on dirt a lot, but especially since the mid motors became the norm, we don't have the weather or the climate for dirt tracks, and it's easier just to race on AstroTurf. Honestly, I couldn't tell you why we do so well on the maybe must be something in the water, I think. Yeah,
must be something up there you're near Manchester, so I don't know. Actually, my favorite team is from Manchester, so, and they don't wear red, so.
They what?
They don't wear red, that's for sure.
They don't wear red. No, that's my team.
Oh, we're enemies then. We can't talk anymore.
Yeah, we can. Let's cut this short.
Yeah, let's do that. Feed the goat and he will score. All right. So here's something there's a conundrum for a lot of people. Are you a pro or a semi-pro? Let's explain that.
So I would say I'm probably in the middle of them two. So I'm a pro factory driver for Team Associated, and I have been for over 20 years. but I also have a real job. So when I leave the track on a Sunday night, I go back to the real world. So even though I get, I'm well looked after by Team Associated and I race all over the world, I still have to do the 9-to-5 job as well. So it makes it tough, but it is what it is.
What type of work do you do?
It's just factory work. Basically, we make all kinds of different sanding belts, different abrasive belts, different quality, different materials. It's a nice job, but it's nothing crazy. It's just It's just a job that I have just so I can race as well.
Are they flexible with your race schedule?
They're pretty good. I mean, you can't go too crazy. I can't have 40, 50 days off a year, but they help me out when I can, and I do the big meetings that I can do. Struggle a little bit to do warm-ups and stuff because I just don't have the time for it. But they're pretty reasonable with it. They've been good to me, so I can't complain.
I'm sure you've had the chance to be like, all right, I can do this full time for a living, or I'm going to continue to do it. Have a real job and do this. Have you ever? Well, I guess what I'm trying to ask is, did you ever come to that point you was like, do I do this full time for a living, or do I do it as a side, I want to say a side job, and just continue on? If not, why didn't you do it? Why didn't you proceed being a full time pro driver?
That's a good question. I maybe could have done back in the day, but I was on a pretty good deal with Associated, and that my dad always instilled in me that you should always have a job to fall back on, because racing's not around forever. You can't race till you're 40, 50, 60 years old. So it was always instilled in me that it was good to have a job as well, which is probably in the long run it's the smart move. But it would have been nice to travel the world and not have to go to work. But I think I've done pretty good out of the career now.
It's still work, dude. It's still
I can
work.
be happy with what I've done.
Yeah. How about working in the industry? Have you ever considered that?
No, you know what? Not for 1 second.
It's hard. You must be like, I'm not going through that crap.
It's not something I've ever thought, oh, that's something I love to do. I don't want to. You don't want to ever quit racing, but at some point I'm going to have to. But I'd like to. I think once I'm done with it, I'm probably going to try and get away with it. I'm going to miss it so much, and it's been my life pretty much for 30 years. But we've all got to move on sometimes.
Do you think you'll race even when you're not competitive anymore?
No, I think once I start, being the guy that makes up the numbers, I think that's not something that I enjoy. I mean, I don't want to just say I enjoy just because I win. I love racing. I've loved racing for so long, but I don't want to be the guy who's running around, at the back and just making up numbers, and that's just not me. So I feel like I'm still pretty competitive at the minute, so everything's still running good. But there will come a time where you've got to make a tough decision.
How are you interested in any other forms of racing in RC or outside of RC?
Outside of RC, I mean, I'm not really a big Formula One fan. I think it's boring. I think it's really boring at the minute. But I'm a massive fan of the MotoGP. And me and my dad are huge Valentino Rossi fans. So
he's incredible, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the GOAT, isn't he?
Yeah, he just doesn't. He's like, I'm not. And he's still competitive. That's the thing about it. He's like, I mean, yeah, he had a couple of crashes here in the last. I think it was this not the race before, but he can still win races like in championships. And he's 40. He's kind of he's the kind of guy who I look up to. He's the old guy now, and there's young guys coming through, but he's still mixing it up, which is good to see. How much time do you think you have left in racing? You're what, 36 now, 37?
Yeah, just 36. Yeah. I don't know. I think I still feel as good as ever, but obviously, you're not getting any faster. You're only gonna decline, unfortunately. But I still feel like I've got a couple of years left in me. Man. So hopefully.
Hey, Billy Easton just made the mains at the Nationals in America.
Yeah, and he's got a couple of years on me as well.
Yeah, he's
so
like
I'm
42, 43. Drake made it. He's 40. I think I mean, obviously, when you get 40 and all that, you're not as fast as you was when you was 23 and whatnot. But I mean, you still have experience and speed, and if you just keep practicing, I'm sure it can be done. I know Joseph's hoping for that, but he's just slow anyway. But I mean, he's like, it doesn't matter. I'm like, you're getting old and you're getting slower. No.
Yeah.
But I think that's what he's hoping for. He's your age now, 36. So yeah, 4 more years and over 40. Then you can race over 40 and be an over 40 Euro champion, because I think they have one. And race.
I think they have a Euros, and I think they have the Worlds over 40s as well. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I think they're trying to do that actually, which would be fun, like an actual over 40 Worlds. So hey, it's the biggest class in 8 scale. It's the biggest class in 8 scale. Because that's all the that's all the guys who want to race against all the. When I go to these big races, it's so funny to watch like Degani and Barry Baker and Richard Saxon, Paul Ciccarello. They're all talking crap to each other like they was back 20 years ago when they were like at the top of their game. It's so fun to watch. The banter is so great, so awesome.
No, that's good. That's great.
So you got 4 more years. You and Joseph and Lee's 32, 33. He's got a few more years to go before he gets to that.
Yeah, he has.
All right. So we covered that. Obviously, I'm getting that your favorite. What is your favorite class of racing? 2-wheel drive, 10 scale.
It's usually whatever I'm doing the best at the time. But I've won all my big things in 2-wheel drive. Will always be the closest to my heart. It's what I've won. Worlds and Euros and national titles with, and so I've got it'll pretty much always be that.
Okay. Good stuff. All right. Well, let's talk about RC now and the future, because you are one of the old school guys, because you came back up during the 90s. We'll talk about that in the past as well. He goes, what is your opinion of the industry right now compared to when you was involved, when you first got involved?
I mean, obviously, it was always more fun back then before, sponsorships come and everyone gets so serious. Everyone takes it serious now, but there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to win, you want to win. But then I don't know. I think that especially today, there's a lot of people trying to get a piece of a pie that's not so that's not that big. If you understand it.
Oh, I do. I perfectly understand it. We have to make it bigger. We have to grow it.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. It's challenging times. I think it's not nice to say, but there's not a lot of money in the sport, and it does need to grow.
Well, see, you have people that say, "Oh, it's so healthy and it's growing," and then you have people who I'm like, "Well, it needs to grow more." It's not growing enough. We need more things like the Milton Keynes GP, where you get it in front of people that wouldn't necessarily see it. Like make it viable, make it professional. I think we definitely need a professional. We have professionals, like you're a professional, Lee's a professional, but we have to actually we have to treat it professionally, if that makes sense, like any other motorsport, because it is a motorsport at the end of the day. Yes, we don't physically get in the car, but it involves the same physics as motorsports, pretty much. Well, motocross and motorsports. So I don't know. Definitely, sponsorships is a touchy subject too. I mean, it's just something that I don't think it's going to go away unless, and there's nothing wrong with that, because helping people to get a little bit of a deal is not a problem. But I want loyalty from the person as well as the company that's giving it to them. But I definitely think we need to get back to maybe people earning sponsorships a little bit more.
Yeah, everyone. I've been really lucky that I've done so well and I've made a good career out of it. But people seem to think they want sponsorship deals, and they've been racing for like 6 months or 1 year. They think I think you've got to earn it a little bit more. And people always want something more than what they have. It's the way the world works. You
give them something, they're like, well, that's not good enough, and I'm like, well, you need to earn it. Start off with this and then earn it. That's how I look at it. Hey, kind of how I.
Yeah, I mean, I never really I just wanted to be the best racer. I wanted to be the world's best. I wanted to be a world champion. I never really thought about, when I was younger, being a racing professionally. I just wanted to race. I never thought about getting the good deal or getting the good car or getting this and that. It was always about racing, and I think that kind of been lost a little bit, I think,
Yeah.
in the recent couple of years. So
The
it's there's I don't know, there's something to be said about that, I think.
It's good you brought that up because the bragging rights should be earned on the track, not be bragging about how much deal you get in the pits. I think that's what people are more worried about now. It's like, I got 75%. Well, I only got 50. Brag about beating each other on the track. That's where you get bragging rights from. You know?
Yeah, that's right. That is good. But then again, the flip side of that is, the racing's expensive, and it's hard. I think it's difficult to get into because it's an expensive start. So
It is, but
one guy says that thing, another guy says that, and it's that's kind of the problem, really.
yeah, I agree. I mean, racing's more expensive because now I think you need to have so much more tires.
Tires is the big one.
I think
the big one.
I think if you really look at it, the equipment isn't really much more expensive than when it was probably when you started. And the equipment's a lot more reliable now than it was back when. I remember in the 90s, like, brushless motors and ESCs last forever. A nitro motor, you can get a nitro motor for cheap and it lasts forever. Car kits are stronger than ever before. It's like when you start trying to keep up with the Joneses and have everything personalized and trying to look good, that's when things get expensive, I think. And tires, obviously, but,
Yeah, I agree. I agree with I think initial startup cost is expensive, but I think the equipment that we have today and the cars and, like you say, the motors and batteries, they're so much better than what they used to be, and they're so much more reliable. And you could run one motor for a full year, and you could get away with it no problem.
Yeah,
but I agree with, especially it's the same in England. The tyre situation is it's a big cost. It's like we have a national last week where it's 2-wheel drive on Saturday, 4-wheel drive on Sunday. 3-leg finals, so you have one practice or 2 practices, 4 rounds qualifying, and 3 legs of the final. You have to put a new set of tyres on every single run.
Is that
especially on the rear?
Is that AstroTurf or was it?
Yeah, on the AstroTurf. Yeah.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So 9 times out of 10, either me or Lee will win the national, and he has to put new tyres on because I do, and then I have to put new tyres on because he does.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, I think if everyone put 2 sets of tyres on, the same people will win, and the same people F main or C main or whatever. It wouldn't change anything, but people would just use a lot less tyres. But it is what it is.
It is what it is. That actually brings us up to equipment. One of my questions is, how do you feel about equipment now versus then? And well, we kind of talked about that. How about tracks compared to now and then? I guess I want to say more 8-scale tracks, because the 10-scale
the 8-scale tracks used to be monster blowout tracks, didn't they? It was like so much different from one day to the next. But the tracks that they've got today, they're I don't know. I don't think these kids know how lucky they are to be racing. I mean, you guys just had the Roar Nationals.
It was, it's a great facility, but it was a high grip, smooth as a baby's ass. I mean, of course it had some bumps, but that was nothing. A one-line track. It was one line. It was high grip. Yeah.
And did people like it, or were they a little bit?
I think
it's not true 8-scale.
Yeah, I think we actually talked about it on the last podcast. If you're gonna have high grip smooth, you should then make the track extremely hard to drive, like bigger jumps where it separates people and whatnot. And it didn't have that, so it kind of it was fast, and it caused for a lot of accidents that probably wouldn't happen because people were going really fast. So you clip something and then you cause a pile up and whatnot. It is what it is. Congratulations to Spencer, he won it. He was the fastest guy, but I definitely think they could have built a track that was harder, more jumps. But I think that's just the way racing's going now. This high grip, smooth tracks. We still have some races out there that get rough and whatnot, but man, we need some. I like old school Lermy tracks, where you have to use a big pin and you go out and you shoot some roost and all that type of stuff, and it gets blown out and track changes. But
yeah, I agree. I'm a big fan of that as well. It's I like the fact when the track changes and then you have to change your line to accommodate. It was it's always something that I enjoy, the challenge. But yeah, I can see it from both sides. People, I think I agree with the Aurora track. It looked awesome and it looked really nice, but it just looked a little bit too easy. I don't know.
It looked like a big 10 scale track. That's what it kind of looked like to me.
I think you could tell by the times were so close because there wasn't anywhere on the track where you could really gain time. So, yeah, that's another side of it. So, I agree. I'm a big fan of the whole natural track, getting blown out and then just dealing with it.
Well, you're off to the Ungaro ring next week. What do you think about that track?
I mean, I raced we did a Euros there.
The first one, Bootsy won.
3, maybe 2015, and it was that's an old school track. It's dusty and it's going to get blown out, and I'm looking forward to it. Should be good.
I remember that race because it was you and Lee Martin, I think, and probably Bloomfield. I was watching the final, and you guys were all drinking cocktails. I wasn't there, but I was just watching on RC Racing TV. You guys all drinking.
We were cheering Elliot on. Yeah.
Oh, you had the towels, the shirts waving. I was like, yeah, because who was the only UK English guy to win an 8-scale Euros prior to that was Bloomfield.
Yeah, that just shows how hard it is to win. Yeah. It's such a difficult race to win.
That's amazing. That's pretty amazing considering the amount of great 8-scale races that have come out of the UK. That only Bloomfield.
Yeah, I think we've had a couple of ones that are close. I think Jamie Booth was close in the late 80s and early 90s, and I think he was close to winning a World as well. And then we've had a couple in like the late 80s and early 90s, but then kind of tailed off a little bit. But it was great. I mean, I was there to see Bloomfield win. It was great. The thing is with the Brits, you obviously, I think the Americans, you guys you always cheer for whoever's driving your car, which is fair enough. You know what I mean? You got to have your favourites. But for Brits, we always cheer for the car. We always want the car to do well, but then the country, especially if you're not in the final, you always want a fellow countryman to do well. And it's something that we've always kind of done.
I think that's the allure of the Euros because it's different countries being represented. It's like the Worlds. The Worlds is countries represented. So, I mean, yes, you want your favorite driver in the Worlds to win, but you also kind of want the guys from your country to do well. And I felt that, like, when you guys were like, yeah, Boots is going to win it, and everybody was celebrating, and it was good to see. Very great to see.
Yeah, it was good to see it. I mean, he deserved to win it. He was the best driver all week, and it was his first, big international win, and it was just nice to be there to see how happy he was, and his dad was crying. He was so over the moon. It was nice to see.
It was funny. I was at Silver State, and he was doing, and I picked him like on Facebook to win. So as he was walking up to the rostrum, I said, "Hey, Bootsy," says, "Do it for the Queen." He laughed, and he was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And hey, I was happy that he won, man. I was so excited when he won because I got this whole Euro versus USA thing going on that I love to. We'll touch on that in a minute. How about drivers? Do you think the drivers are more skilled today than they were back in your time?
I don't know if they're more skilled. It's just that, I don't know, people just seem to just practice more than what they used to. Obviously people used to practice back in the day all the time, but I think because of social media, we can see it more these days. So it seems like the big guns, they never stop. You're practicing all the time. So I don't know. I won't say they're more skilled because there were some amazing drivers from the 90s. Masami for me is the best driver ever. You can't win 14 world championships and not be said that. And then your Kim Walds and your Pavidis and your Francis, they were all, they would, if they were in the prime now, they would still be right at the top.
Do you think they'd be throwing fat whips and shrubbing and all that stuff like these guys are doing now?
I think Kim Wald was the first. I mean, I did when was it? I did a Florida Winter Champs in like 2002 or something like that. It was the first time me and my dad had been to the States to race. Mike Reedy invited us over, and we were watching some of the practice, and Kimwald was there, and they had this like double jump coming onto the main straight, and it was the first time I'd ever seen anyone just move the steering in the air and move make the car move in midair, and it was amazing. It was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen.
Hey, I remember when I was racing, if I could just get away of turning the wheels left or right in the air, I was excited, But now guys are throwing these cars upside down and stuff like that and bringing it back around. Yeah, I think they could. I mean, Billy Easton's a testament to that. He came up, and I mean, you are as well. I don't know if you throw fat whips and all that stuff, but I'm sure you can. But yeah, I think they could do it. I think Masami could probably do it with his feet.
Definitely. He probably could. I mean, those guys, they were more. Wasn't about style back then. It was about it was about winning. But they could still compete.
Yeah. Speaking of that, how many times have you been to America to race? Have you done the Reedy race and whatnot before?
Yeah, I've done a couple of maybe like 3 or 4 Reedy races, and I've done a couple of World Championships over there. And Lake Park, the Winter Champs, all good. I always enjoy going to the States. Yeah, because it's just, I mean, you go to a place like OCRC, such a lovely facility, and it's really enjoy it.
Yeah, I love when I enjoy my visits to the States as well. It's like, yeah, I come here, I get to, I'm a big boy, so I get my McDonald's and all that type of stuff, and just be American for a week or two. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. All right, I want to get your thoughts on a couple of these drivers, and we can keep it brief or whatever. But what do you think about Bruno Coelho?
Bruno, he's a fast driver. He's a talented driver. And you can see he can turn his hand to any class and turn up and win. And he's a tough competitor, and you can't take it away from him. He's I don't know if people say he's the world's best driver, and I can see why they say that, because if you can do it at every scale. But he's definitely up there. He's a pretty impressive guy.
He's still young. He has time. He made a great post on Facebook today. He's at the
I've
Euros.
seen it. Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to go, if he can continue and get a little bit more into off-road over the next few years. I don't see him not being one of the best of all time. I think Cav is one of the best of all time, me personally, but
oh, definitely. I think Cavalier is the best racer I've ever raced against. As an actual racer, he's right place, right time, all the time. Ice cool on the track. Mm-hmm. His willingness to win, and he's 4-time world champion, and he was he's definitely one of the best of all time.
Yeah, Joseph always says this to me. He says Cavalieri can win races with a car that's 75% good. He knows
that's right. Yeah. He can always make it happen. He can always find something when he needs it. And like I say, he's always in the right place at the right time. And people call it pudge luck, but you can't be lucky that many times.
No, you can't. You can't. All right, we'll move on next. Mayfield. What do you think about Mayfield?
Mayfield's the best driver ever to watch. He's so good to watch. Back in the day, I mean, he was talking about whipping the car. He was the one that really took it to the next level, I think. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he's a fierce competitor. I know he can be controversial, but we need a bit of controversy sometimes.
Oh yeah,
I love watching Mayfield, and I was so happy for him to finally win the World Championships. It would have been a travesty if he didn't win one, because he was by far the best driver left without one. So I was pleased when he finally won one.
Yeah, we did a pretty good podcast with Mayfield, and I was very nervous, like, seeing him at tracks, because he looks kind of like unapproachable. You hear all the stories.
He seems like he's an angry guy, right?
And then he was just there, like, I remember it was DNC this year, and he was sitting there, we was set up, and Joseph and him were talking, and Joseph goes, see, even he thinks you hate me, and he was drinking a beer, and I said, and we just got to talking, and I was like, man, he's cool, like, I get it. And then when he came on the podcast, it was pretty good. Like, he opened up about a lot of things, and we definitely need more drivers with some sort of character, some sort of, not always being PC and, wearing their emotions on their shirt. We need that to make RC exciting, I think.
Exactly. That's right. We can't all be robots. It's nice to see a bit of emotion every now and again.
Yeah, I heard there was a little bit of controversy at the at the Nationals the other day, at the 8-scale Nationals there last weekend, too, on the track.
Yeah. I heard that I think it was more handbags than anything. It was just, I think it was little boys trying to be men, but it was something enough, and it wasn't a big deal.
Oh, yeah, but God, it's racing, man. Tempers flare. It's racing.
Oh, yeah, they do. They do.
Yeah, good stuff. I love all that stuff. Orlowski, I see he's starting to do a little bit more 8-scale now. A little bit more of it.
Yeah, he's trying to get into it. I mean, he's a fantastic 10-scale driver now. He's on the carpet. He's your premium two-wheel drive driver. He's the guy who, I would say he's the world's best carpet driver as things go. He's a nice kid as well.
Mm-hmm.
I got a lot of time for him. He's a good kid. His dad's a bit crazy, and his dad's so intense and so into racing.
Oh, yeah?
Mikael's kind of like the opposite, and he's kind of more laid back and cool, and he wants to win, but he's not as intense as his dad. But yeah, he's a good kid. I got a lot of time for him.
Got you. All right, how about the Viking, David Ronnefalk?
Again, he's a good. I like David. I got a lot of time for him. He's a world class driver. Again, it was awesome to see. I always say this to Lee when we're talking about 8-scale worlds, and he says who's going to win, and I say I don't really care as long as it's a new winner, because it's always nice to see someone new be crowned as a world champion. And he always says, well, there's never been a world champion that's won it twice, so there's always a new world winner. So to see David win it was really good in Las Vegas, and I like him. He's a good kid. He's dedicated. He's dedicated. Puts a lot of time in, so he gets the rewards.
And he's a United fan, unfortunately. So
yeah, he is a big United fan. I talk to him sometimes about that, which is he's a good kid.
I can't say much for his taste in football, but his mental game towards this is really good. He attacks this as a professional, and everything everything that he does is focused to make him a better racer. He really gets the social media side of it too. He's young, and he's I think he doesn't even race much 10 scale, but he can pick it up and he can do well with it. He's so talented.
He's so talented. He's double European champion. He's reigning European champion, and he's second in the world in 4-drive. So yeah, he's once he like you say, he's dedicated. He's professional. He puts a lot of effort in, and you get the rewards. Okay,
finally, Davide Ongaro. What's your impressions on him?
I mean, unbelievable,
isn't he?
Every few years there's a race that comes around that moves the sport on a little bit, and I think he's the one that's moved it on in the last few years. Yeah. I've never seen car control like his on the track. It's Mayfield looks awesome driving, and it looks wild, and it looks it's so entertaining. But then Ongaro's the complete other end of the spectrum, but he's just so in control. And yeah, I think he's moved the whole sport on, and definitely the man to beat, and he's only going to get better, so it's bad for everyone else.
Have you seen him race 10 scale at all?
Yeah, he's done the last couple of Euros, and he struggled a little bit the first time I saw him, but he's much better now. And the Euros are in Italy in a couple of weeks, 10 scale, and he'll be there, and he'll be one to beat. He's just an absolute world-class driver.
So you think he can just, if he actually dedicates some time to 10 scale, he can just pick it up? No problem.
Oh, absolutely no problem. Like you say, he's made the Euros A finals the last couple of times. So yeah, he's just a great driver.
Okay. All right. Well, that's enough for our drivers. I kind of agree with everything you say there. Those are some of the drivers that stick out in my mind. I definitely want to see Orlowski get his feet wet in 8 scale and do some of that. That'd be good to see. He's a good kid. He's like the only professional kid ever from Poland too. So that's good stuff. Good stuff. All right. I have this little thing because I love Euro racing. I love all racing, but for me, I think, well, in 8 scale mostly, the Euro drivers seem to have a slight upper hand over the American drivers right now. Obviously Davide won. He won the Euro. He won the Worlds. DNC Mayfield won, but I think if Ronnefalk wouldn't have broke, I think there would have been a different story. But that's a lot of things we can say. Booch just went over to Silver State and dominated there. Well, then Lutz came over to DXR and he won there. But I kind of go back to 8 scale races. Do you think that the Euro guys, especially in 8 scale, are just got a little bit of an upper hand on the American 8 scale racers right now?
It's hard to say, really. Like you say, sometimes Americans better, sometimes Europeans better. I think in Europe, in the last 5 or 6 years, they had a really good core group of young drivers coming through, and I think they've all come through at the same time, and that's kind of maybe what's tipped it in Europe's favour slightly. But I don't know, maybe like you said with the tracks before, because the American tracks are getting a little a little too straightforward and easy, and then the European tracks are so blown out that that's only going to him as well. So I don't know. It's that's a tough one to call.
I think the Euro tracks allow like corner speed. They're designed where, you know, a lot of the American tracks are like 180 jump, 90, you know, jump. It's very supercross, and I would say, well, I mean, even some of these tracks that I'm seeing pop up in Europe are just, they're got some massive jumps, but they also have some very high speed sections of the track. And I think that these guys are just carrying so much corner speed, and they know they can transfer that to any track, no matter even if it has jumps. So I just think like the Euro guys are just slightly bit, and then you have a group of young kids coming up behind these guys too, especially in Italy. Italy has
Italy is a real hotbed. I remember I did a race in Italy a couple of years ago, and over there they have like an F1 class and an F2. So the F1's the top guys and the F2s are the up and comers. And there were Ongaro was in the F2s, and Berton was in the F2s, and you could see, and you know, Zanchetin was there, and you just thought, you know, all these guys are going to be coming through in a couple of years, and they're all going to be fast, and they are, you know, Baruffalo as well. Mm-hmm. They're all super fast. There seems to have been tracks pop up everywhere in Italy in the last 5, 6, 7 years, and obviously more practice makes better drivers. So I think that's had a big input in it.
I mean, and Spain has a group of young guys coming up, and the UK has young guys coming up as well. I mean, that's when I think of fast young kids, that's the 3 countries I think of when it comes to Europe. So I think Italy's probably maybe a little bit on a different level, because you got the kids like Polito and whatnot coming. I'm talking mostly 8-scale guys, but I mean, the UK has no slouch. You got Clancy, you got the Skidmores. Who else is faster?
We got Lewis. We got a couple of good kids on the associated team. Lewis Jones and then the Lewis brothers. And we got a nice little core coming through. It's always good. It's always good to see, because you know, with it, you need the kids in the sport. Otherwise, we don't want just old guys stood on the rostrum, do we?
No, we definitely. You have to pass on that knowledge as well to them, and they need to listen. They don't know everything, so you know. You always got to listen. I always learned from an old miner when I got into shotcreting and stuff like that. He goes, never tell somebody you know. If they're trying to tell you something, don't tell them you know it already. Just listen to them anyway. You might learn something. So, good advice.
That's right.
All right, so let's talk about the 10-scale worlds that are coming up. That's already shrouded in controversy. I mean, it was supposed to be in France at first. Why did they switch it from France? They just didn't like the track, or what was the deal with it?
The facility was good in France. We had the Euros there last year, and their organisation was absolutely shocking. And you know, it was. We have a guy in the BSA chairman, Paul Worsley. He's also the EFA chairman as well, and he runs a tight ship. But when we got to France, and these guys wanted to run their own system, and they just didn't do a good job at all. It was one of the worst Euros that I've seen. You know. Run wise, and so I think the EFRA was IFMA were a bit worried about it, and EFRA were a bit worried about it, and then they were like, well, you know, if you're going to be like this at the Euros, we're not doing the World, so they kind of pulled out. So and then we end up at the Hoodie Arena. Yeah,
and that's already shrouded in controversy already. I mean, it's X-Ray, it's their home track. They just had the warm-ups there. I heard some stories coming out of the warm-ups and whatnot. How do you feel about this? How do you feel going into this race here? When is it? October it is, or September?
It's September, yeah.
What's your thoughts on
it? I mean, I don't know. It is what it is. I mean, it's a big advantage having a track in your factory to practice on. I mean, you're not meant to practice on it for X amount of time, but you know, you can't police it, can you? So. What can you do?
I think they should have just picked somewhere else to do it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people thought that as well. I mean, the Hoodie Arena, I don't know if you've ever been. I mean, it's an absolutely amazing facility. And if you had a bottomless pit of money, it's what you'd do. But, it doesn't... I don't know. I think a lot of the companies have already kind of accepted that it's going to be difficult to win there, and like Yokomo didn't send Mayfield to the warm up, so I don't know.
I guarantee you that like Hootie's got like a container full of tires over there that they're just constantly tested. I don't know. I'm just saying. That's what I'd be doing if that was my track. But
I'd be the same. Yeah, if it was in my factory, I'd be practicing all the time as well. So you can't blame them. But yeah, it's kind of makes a mockery of it. But you know, it is what it is.
The cream will always rise to the top, and the best racer will win. The same guys will be fast. But it does make for some sort of advantage, and it's a shame. Like it's gonna go into it's a shame that such a great event is going into with a not a black cloud, a gray cloud hanging over it. So I'll be looking forward to it. I'm not too worried about that. It should be good. And hey, you never know, man. Hey, it might not be who you think that wins it. It's racing. Anybody can win it.
Oh yeah, especially the Worlds. There's probably 10 people who can win that event, so it can be anyone. But you know, X-Ray have an advantage, but it doesn't always work out like that. And we'll see what happens.
Oh yeah, we'll see what happens because it's called racing, not called winning. So and it's gonna. I just love it. I love Worlds events anyway. All right, just a couple more questions here, and then we have to go on to the 10 questions, 10-second segment. What would you like to see change in RC?
You know what? I couldn't think of anything that I would change. I will do tomorrow when I'm thinking about this in my head. But our national series, and most of my races are always pretty run spot on. I couldn't really, I couldn't do a better job, to be honest, except for the tire thing. But that's a whole different issue.
Yeah,
that smarter people than me will sort. But I love racing for what it is now. I've enjoyed it all my life, and I'm going to continue enjoying it for a couple more years.
Awesome. Well, that kind of brings me to what does the future look like for you?
Yeah. Well, I'll race as long as I can, and then I've got to grow up and be a big boy.
Yeah. Unfortunately, real life happens, but you know what? I'm 41, and I don't think I'm ready to grow up yet.
So yeah, I even though I'm 36, I feel like I'm still 25. My body just aches a little bit more. But I've kind of been lucky that because I have a job and and I'm in the real world. I'm just a normal guy basically. Mm-hmm. So once I get away from the track, I can have my normal life with my normal friends and family and not take it too serious. So yeah.
Yeah, I think so, man. I know one thing: as you get older, when you drink the night before, it takes a lot longer to get over to deal with the hangover the next day. So that's one thing. As you get older,
I can definitely agree with you on that.
Oh man, it just gets worse as you get older. Trust me. He's like, I used to be able to have like 5-10 pints. Now you have 3 and you're 4, and you got a headache in the morning.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Any advice that you would give for any new people getting into this hobby, into this scale motorsports? What would you tell them?
Same as what I always tell them. I think in any sport, the more you practice, the better you're going to get. I think it's the same if you're playing golf or basketball, football, soccer, car racing, whatever. I think the more practice that you do is absolute paramount. And I was kind of lucky when I was little. I had 3 club tracks that was really close to me, so I could go and race every week. We raced every weekend, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday. These club meetings were like world championships back then, so I kind of lucky to fit so much practice in. So that's always my advice: practice as much as you can and enjoy it. It's still a hobby at the end of the day, and there's no point doing it if you don't enjoy it. So yeah.
Good stuff, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on and answering these questions. We now have this section. I didn't send you the questions for this, but this is like I asked you 10 questions and you're supposed to answer them in 1 second or less, but that never happens. But the point is to answer them quickly. So are you ready for the 10-second segment?
Yeah, I'll go.
All right. So number 1, you do live in the UK. Football, rugby, or cricket?
Football.
Okay. Do you even like cricket? I haven't found anybody that likes cricket yet. I'm upset.
No, nobody not even English people like cricket.
I love cricket, dude. I love it.
I don't know why. It's always on TV, but no one. I don't know anyone who likes cricket.
Wow, I'm upset. Okay, number 2, Astro or dirt?
Dirt.
Okay. Number 3, your biggest rival in RC.
It has to be Mr. Lee Martin.
Yeah. Do you guys make like little bets and stuff like that? Or...
We sometimes do on, like, say, if one of us has won the first 2 legs, and then in the third leg, we'll have a beer on the fastest lap or something like that.
Okay. We kind of went over this, but I would like to know, if you did not race RC cars, what would you race?
Probably nothing. Probably bikes, motorbikes.
Well, I mean, in England, the British Superbike series is pretty good, too. I've been to a few races.
Yeah, the British Superbike's good, but probably more. I used to do a bit of motocross, but when I was there was like just as I started racing. But yeah, something to do with bikes. I've always been a bit of a bike fan.
Okay. Number 5. I saw this one time, like, where your dad was tightening up some screws, and somebody was like making a joke, like, if Mick's tighten it up, you'll never get it loose. So, how tight does your dad tighten your engine, like the screws on your car?
Oh, so he breaks MIP drivers. Yeah, he's kind of an in joke. He doesn't like to use Loctite because you can never get it undone. So really? He's built like He-Man. So he likes to tighten things down until they break.
Yeah, if you're breaking MIP drivers, and you're doing a good job.
Yeah. I mean, they're the best. So he does like to go overboard.
Okay, all right. Number 6, best derby in football.
I wouldn't even say Manchester Derby. I think the biggest derby in football is the Scottish one, Celtic against Rangers. It's the first one that popped in my head. So
yeah, oh, that is big.
Even though it's not even a big game, but it's the first one that I always think of when someone says derby.
Okay, number 7, your favorite frosty beverage after a race.
Oh, just a nice cold pint of anything beer.
What's your preferred beer?
I like there's some Italian ones, Peroni or
Good beer.
Moretti. They're nice and refreshing.
Peronis are nice. I like Peronis.
Yeah, it's a pretty standard one. It's nice as long as it's cold. I'm pretty easygoing.
Yeah, my preference when I was in the UK was Carlsberg though. When it was on tap.
Yeah, Carlsberg's good. Carlsberg exports is some nice stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm pretty easy. Anything cold and anything beer, I'm good.
Yeah, I like a nice cold draft Guinness too once in a while. Not too many.
I can't drink Guinness.
I can only drink 1, maybe 2.
Yeah, it's too thick. I feel like I'm eating it.
Yeah, and it also raises my pressure like next day.
Yeah.
But yeah, good stuff. Okay, number 8. What is the best track you've? Sorry, this is number 9. What is you know what? I'm so bad at math. I lose quantities halfway through them all the time. What is the best track you've ever raced on?
Finland and Vasa. We had a World Championships there in 2011 and the Euros there, and it's an awesome track, and it's like a college town, so the whole nightlife was great. And yeah, I think everyone always says that. Anyone who's ever been always says it was such a great event and everyone loved it. Yeah. Really good fun.
I've heard that a few times as well about that track. The person that ran it and whatnot, it was a great event. So.
Yeah, everything just worked great. The racing was good, the track was awesome. But then you got back to the hotel and the nightlife was good and it was chilled. But it was, everyone always says that one. Everyone always enjoyed it. So I always think of that.
Okay, number 9. I know I missed one here. I know it. I just know because I'm just an idiot like that. Importance of setup. Do you fix it or do you drive it like it is?
Setup's important. There's no getting around it. You can only wheel it so far, but especially these days, you see the guys, Testman. These guys take it to the limit. Their cars are perfect, and that's why they're so hard to beat.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, and my last question for you is another football question. Who is the best Man United striker ever?
Eric Cantona.
Oh, and the best dropkick guy ever. Man, he was so savage.
He's the best player for us. So.
He was savage.
An animal, but
He was so savage. Oh man, too bad Man United's just not like they used to be, and I don't foresee it happening anytime soon. Oh, that's gonna piss off a lot of people.
It's gonna be a couple of years before I think we're competing at the top.
Yeah, well, like a lot of people may think like I'm a Man City fan because of their current situation, but we actually used to have a guy from Bermuda that played for him, Sean Goda.
Sean Goat, feed the goat.
Yeah, so I've probably been a fan since back then. Feed the goat and he will score.
That's good because the new fans that you'd say Man United have a lot of them as well. We call them plastics, where they just support them just because they're the best team.
Man, I want to go to one of their.
But yeah, I remember Gota.
I want to go to a derby match so bad one day. I want to like just go and just experience the atmosphere. Looks so awesome, so awesome. I love football. I love Premier League football more than anything. So I think it's the best league in the world.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's definitely the most competitive because the team that's at the bottom can sometimes be the team at the top, and no game's ever they're definitely going to win.
Yep.
So it is very competitive.
Yep, I agree with you there, man. Okay, well, I appreciate your time coming on, and it's a Friday evening. I know you have better things to do. Do you want to say thank you or shout out to anybody before we close this up?
I just thanks for letting me come on here and have a good chat. I'd like to thank the sponsors as always, Team Associated and Reedy, Proline, CML, KO. All the big guns. Thanks for letting me do what I love, but most importantly, I always like to thank my dad because sacrifices that he's made, for us to have such a fun hobby. I'll always be thankful for it. And yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and good luck to you in the Euros this next weekend. Have fun. And have a few cool beverages for me, man.
Oh, I definitely will. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
You are entering the Tekno RC Grassroots Racer Spotlight. The part of the podcast that gives the listeners a platform to talk about RC. Brought to you by Tekno RC. Tekno RC. Tekno RC is a premium manufacturer specializing in 8th and 10th scale high-performance off-road RC buggies and trucks. Visit www.teknorc.com for a complete catalog of their products.
Welcome to the Tekno RC Grassroots Racer Spotlight. This is the part of the podcast dedicated to you, the regular guys out there racing Monday to Friday, working Monday to Friday and racing on the weekends. You, the guys who support the hobby, support the industry, and make this all possible. This segment is dedicated to you guys. This is your time to talk to us about RC. Tell us what's on your mind. Tell us about RC in your area. Tell us what's pissing you off, whatever it is. But this is your segment, the Grassroots Racer Spotlight. This week, our guest is Mr. Conner. And you know what? You just told me your last name, and Ahlers. That's what it is. Conner Ahlers. What's up, Conner? How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm cool, man. Just chilling out in this new to me AC that I got here in the studio. That I won from Joseph because he actually paid his bet. So I'm good. How about yourself? What you been up? Where are you from? Tell us where you're from.
I'm from Minnesota. I live about 30 minutes straight north of Minneapolis itself. So I'm from actually closer to the border. I lived right off Lake Superior most of my whole life. So just trying to get used to warmer temps. I know that 65 doesn't sound warm to you, but it's hot for me. So.
It's so crazy. I actually caught a bus from high level Alberta to Toronto many years ago, 2011, sorry. And we went through the Great Lakes and Lake Superior and all that stuff. And I just could not to me, I'm like, I'm used to the ocean. We don't even have lakes and stuff in Bermuda. I only got introduced to lakes and rivers in going to America and then here in the DR. And I'm looking at these great, vast bodies of water, and I cannot fathom that that's all fresh water. It's so crazy.
Oh yeah. Well, Minnesota's land of 10,000 lakes. I don't know that you can drive more than 5 miles in the state without finding a lake.
Wow, that's so crazy, but beautiful. I had a beautiful drive going through there, and I really enjoyed it. It was summertime too, so it was great. So yeah, man, you contacted me last week, and we got to talking, and you actually raced a lot with one of the kids that did really well here at the Nationals, Seth Van Dalen. So you race at their track that they have, which is a pretty badass track. It looks like it's in the middle of a cornfield or something like that. Oh, I could be mistaken. Yeah.
Yep. It basically is. It's I think, I don't know the exact acreage. I think they have like 80 acres or something, and they lease out, 40 or 60 of it to a local farmer, and they just kind of have a track right on the edge of it, and the dirt's phenomenal. Really good dirt.
Yeah, I first got introduced to that track by one of our drivers, Ashton Abdul. He sent me some video when he was racing there, and it's a really nice track, and he was telling me about the Van Dalens, and that's how I got introduced to him. And I think the RC world got introduced to them recently here at the Fuel Nats, where he did really well in truck and buggy. So
for sure, he killed it.
Tell us a little bit about your background, because you have a very interesting background. You are part of the demographic of people that I say we have to hit in RC, and that's former motocross guys who get injured and then find RC.
Yeah, absolutely. I started racing dirt bikes when I was 3 years old. We went after it pretty hard for a long time. And, RC cars, I literally never had one, never drove one for the longest time. It interested me, but, I never had the time with racing dirt bikes. The kids have their slashes at the tracks and stuff, and that's cool. And when I turned 18, my dad kind of started sending me to the races on my own, and I started getting hurt a lot. I've done 5 ACLs. I'm missing so many ligaments in my left knee. It's crazy. I never even bothered getting them fixed the last time I did them, just because I kept tearing them so much. So I can't remember the exact year. I want to say it was the end of 17, beginning of 18. I ended up getting a compression fracture, 2 of them in my C5 and 6. And that made me really nervous to ride anymore, because if you do any spinal cord damage, you're gonna have some lifelong lasting effects that I just wasn't interested in. So, and my wife races, so for me, I wanted to ride, but I'm really nervous to do it, and especially at speed. So I needed to find kind of a different outlet to kind of get that racing out, and that's kind of how I got into the RC car part of it. Mm-hmm. And like I said, it was never even on my radar that it existed. The racing part of it, I just thought it was just kids in slashes driving around.
Yeah.
So the way I got into it was actually through a cousin that happens to race, but that and like seeing guys like the Wally Builds guy, posting like stuff with Christian Craig, and I'm like, oh, that looks pretty cool. So that's kind of what sparked it for me.
So what did you get? What was your first vehicle?
My cousin sold me a B5M, and mind you, this is last year.
Okay.
I got my first car in January 2018.
So I guess that started your RC addiction then, I would say.
Yeah, if you saw the amount of cars I had here, yeah.
How many cars have you accumulated in 1 year, dude?
20, probably.
Wow.
Probably.
That's an addiction, man, I'm telling you.
Oh, it's terrible. It's one of those things where I'm like, well, that car looks good. Maybe I should try that car.
Yeah.
Well, that car looks better today. Now I should try that one. And it's like, I wish I was better about just, hey, work on this one car and learn it, instead of like race every class you possibly can. Yeah.
So what are you racing now? Obviously, you guys are seasonal. You can't really race 8 scale much during the winter there, unless you go down to like Hobbyplex and stuff like that. So what are you racing right now?
Currently outdoors, I have an e-buggy, which I don't really care to drive. I don't know why, it's the hardest thing in the world for me. And then nitro, buggy, and truck. And that's just kind of all we run in the summertime. Yeah. Every now and then they throw in a 10 scale outdoor, just like for fun. And I have a stadium truck and a B6-1 for that. Good
stuff. What's some of your favorite tracks there?
Obviously the Van Dalen's track FTR is awesome. It's a super good track. And then there's a track in Duluth, which is about 2 hours north, which I recently started helping them with track builds. But even before then, that the driver stand and the way they have everything set up is really good. It's a tighter track. It's more 10 scale friendly, but it's a really cool track. And those two are kind of my go-tos right now.
Mm-hmm. What is the race scene like, RC scene like there in Minnesota? I mean, I do talk to Joe a lot, and it seems to be pretty healthy there.
Yeah. I would say our biggest issue is there's too many places to race.
Mhm.
I mean, there's weekends where there's 4 different tracks running, and don't get me wrong, yeah, one's AstroTurf and the other one's, A-scale dirt. And it's like there's a lot of different styles, but it still kind of conflicts because we all kind of race the same. We all kind of race everything.
Right.
So it's tough that there's so many tracks running, but it is a really healthy scene right now, and there's definitely plenty to go around.
Awesome.
I think FTR's last couple I guess they're considered club races. It's his own point series, but I think they've brought in about 80 entries each, and that's with multiple races at other tracks those weekends as well.
Okay. So what's the next big race that you'll be attending, you think? You guys, do you get down to like State Line and all that stuff? I see they have their last big race coming up.
I was going to go to that Tekno race in St. Louis here in 2 weeks, but I'm actually going to Millville now to mechanic for a buddy who is going to be trying to qualify for the National.
Right.
But honestly, I'm not sure. For me, it's kind of wherever Seth says he wants to go, and then, all right, let's fire up the truck and get there. So now that Seth is out of high school, he's a little more able to travel and go places and not miss school. So I think we're going to try to hit some more bigger races, and we haven't really talked about a schedule yet.
Good stuff. What does your wife think about this? I mean, she still races motocross, right?
So to be completely honest, my wife thinks it's super lame. She does my pit for me. She comes in, she does a great job. I think she only does it because I take care of her dirt bikes during the week, so she feels guilty. But
no way.
She doesn't get it. She goes, "You were so fast on a dirt bike. Why don't you just ride a dirt bike?" I'm like, "Well, this stuff hurts." So, but she's super supportive. She just doesn't get it.
Has she had any hard spills yet? Like, has she been injured hard from motocross?
A couple, nothing major, no like serious crashes, but she's had some injuries that have occurred during it. She cased a triple and broke her ankle, but she didn't crash type things. So nothing too major, which is thankfully, it's really hard for me to watch her for some reason. It makes me really uncomfortable because of the people around her.
Is she pretty good though? Is she good on the track?
Yeah, she's definitely in the top 3 to 5 girls in the state for sure. We have some girls that did it really seriously for a long time, so those ones are hard to keep up with because she doesn't have the time to commit fully to it. But no, she's really fast for women. It's just they put women with the vet riders, the old guys,
right?
Because I don't know why they do that. And the old guys, they get tired and they're on 450s and they can't control their bikes, and it just makes me nervous.
That's pretty cool. Has she ever tried your car? Has she ever driven it?
Yeah. So honestly, she'd be just fine. But the problem is, going away, you turn left, it goes left. Coming back, you turn left, it goes right. And that just makes her, she just can't handle that.
It's so subliminally programmed in your brain. Now, I don't even think of stuff like that.
Same. At first, the first 2 times I went, I was like, I'm never going to figure this out. And then the next time I went, it was like, oh, this is no problem.
Yeah, that's good.
That's weird. But she drives a crawler around, and that goes all right just because it's a little slower pace. So.
Yes, man. Scale life, man. I'm loving my little adventure into scale right now. I need to actually get out there and drive it some. Take my son out.
I hear you there. We just got a Element.
Yeah.
Ordered.
Yeah, it looks good. The Element looks really good. I got me an Axial and a TF2 and a Traxxas here. Maybe I'll get an Element one day when, we'll see. I like that ready to run one. Just plug and play.
Super easy. I like that. There's nothing to it. You're not racing, so it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't. Just go out, have fun, have some beer along the way, and enjoy it.
The toughest thing for me switching to RC cars has been honestly the tires. Like I can't even understand how complicated the tire game to RC racing is, and that's the nice thing about crawlers is it's like whatever, just go run it.
Yeah, Joseph always says that he can buy a set of motocross tires for almost the same price as a set of, maybe not a set, but he can buy one motocross tire for the price of a set of tires. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with how motocross works and all that stuff with the tire game, but yeah, the tire game in RC is definitely something you have to learn. It costs a lot of money, and if you don't have the right tires, you're not going to go fast.
Yeah, I think nationals were a good example of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean it's tough with motocross. I mean, you can get a rear tire for roughly $100, front tire for about $80, and you're good for probably a month for most people, depending on the type of dirt you ride on. If it's not too hard pack, which most tracks aren't anymore, they rip them and water them so they don't get dusty. But Yeah, I mean, and there's no different. Yeah, there's different compounds, but nobody runs it. It doesn't matter. You just run a Dunlop MX3S and you're done. It's too easy.
Okay. Now, being as you come from motocross to RC, do you like? We look at guys like I always use Joe Bornhorst as a great example of a really good motocross guy that came over to RC. Tebow rides a lot of motocross as well. Do you find? Okay, this is a two-part question. Do you find that your skills from motocross transfer over to RC? And do you get the same sensation, same adrenaline rush racing RC as you do motocross?
So for me, the motocross for sure helps in RC racing. Obviously with just line selection and kind of knowing when to make moves on people and when to pass and rhythm and timing, and just the biggest thing is the line selection. Most all motocross guys can pick up on the lines immediately. And I have some buddies that I've been trying to get talked into it, and I bring them out to the track and they pick up the lines immediately and they know the rhythms, where guys that are newer that don't have that background definitely struggle with it. But what was the second part of your question? I already lost it.
Yeah, do you get the same adrenaline, same rush that you do racing RC, even though you're not physically on the cars? You are a motocross player?
100%. I totally 100% get the same feeling. The only thing I don't get is like I actually get more nervous. Like the start of an RC car race, I am like super nervous, super like a little wiggly, where the motocross on the starting gate, I was totally at ease because I knew exactly what I was going to do and I knew how it was going to happen. I felt, with motocross, I felt more in control, as weird as that sounds. So I'm more nervous with RC cars.
Yeah. Well, don't worry, man. I remember one time way back in like 2005, I was at the Farm 2 at the Offner race, and I was racing, and then I think I was racing Truggy, and it wasn't a big turnout, but it was a nice, healthy turnout. And I got up in the stand, and I looked on the driver's stand, and I was in an A-main with these are some of the top guys, like Chad Bradley, Taylor James, and these guys. And I just instantly started shaking uncontrollably. So I get it, but I don't, that's good to hear.
I don't get nervous, racing with Seth or Kyle Holmberg, who's also pretty quick up here. I don't get nervous with the fast guys. I get nervous about the slower guys because I know some guys I'm like, oh, I'm going to run into the back of that dude. That's just going to happen. And it's going to screw me up. And that part is what makes me nervous. So
cool. All right. Well, I always say we have to hit the motocross demographic. I think the biggest thing is that they don't actually, like you didn't know what we do. They don't know that we're actually racing these RC cars similar to motocross. Like you said, a lot of them feel that we're just out there playing with slashes, jumping them. And it's nothing against Traxxas, because Traxxas, that's their thing. That's their market, bashing and whatnot. Yep. But I definitely think we need to expose our industry, our scale motorsports, our scale motocross to the motocross community. What do you think?
I agree. It's a tough demographic to hit because honestly, it's tough to get guys right at the right time. When they're still racing, it's hard because motocross is extremely expensive. I mean, the cost of a brand new dirt bike is close to $9,000 right now. So it's tough to get them then, but if you could get it implanted in their brains that there's something after motocross, it would really help. And, hearing you and Joseph talk about trying to get it, alongside like a GP, getting people to actually see that there's real racing going on would be huge.
Yes.
Because like you said, I see 8-year-olds running around with their Traxxas, slamming them into stuff, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, why would I care about that? But the second I saw an e-buggy going around the track and the way it did it and seeing it, flick itself in the air and stuff like that, I was like, wow, I need that right now.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I think we need to, I know we're actively working on trying to do it along MXGP as well as a Lucas Oil Motorsports next year for RCGP. So we need to get this out to people, man. Show it how cool it is. I think it's cool.
I think if you could do a race in the parking lot at Vegas Supercross or something like that, it would be huge.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people just walking around looking for something to do, and if they see a real race going on, that would really spark a lot of people's interest. And the cost, it's so much cheaper.
Yeah, isn't it?
It's not even funny. I see a lot of these how cheap people are in RC, and that's fine. I get it, but if they tried to race something, real racing like motorcycles or cars, they would be blown away.
The good thing is that you can go to work on Monday.
Oh yeah, and you don't hurt at all. Nothing. Yeah.
Well, unless you get hit or fall down while you're marshalling or something. But
yeah, but still, I mean, the chances are pretty slim compared to motocross. I mean, motocross, you hit that first corner with 20, 30 other bikes. There's a pretty good chance that you're going to end up getting hurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you missed a lot of work due to motocross as well, due to your injuries?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've had, multiple knee surgeries. Like I said, my neck injury last year held me back from quite a bit of stuff. I've missed a lot of work, a lot of time. Luckily, my dad, being self-employed, made pretty good money when I was younger. So if I had to miss time at work, whatever, he kind of helped me out. And I'm super lucky in that way. But there's a lot of people that aren't. I raced with a lot of guys that were early 20s, 20 to 25, that they'd get hurt. And it was like, oh, man, we need to start selling stuff to, pay the bills.
Wow, that's too bad. And yeah, but that's the price you kind of pay, man. It's a very physical sport. We was talking about it earlier, and
it's all physical, in my opinion. I mean, Jerry Robbins a great example. The kid can ride a 1985 CR250 faster than I can ride a 2019 CR450.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do?
I think that I was once explained to me that motocross is the most physically like they compared it to football, soccer, like where soccer you're running 90 minutes or more. And there was like motocross is second to soccer when it comes to actual physical abilities and needing to be physically fit and whatnot. So,
I according to Google, motocross is number one. It's hard to say, but either way, the stuff these guys do on bicycles, and stuff throughout the week, I don't know Christian that well, but he lived here for a while, and him and an old buddy of mine, John Westling, would go training, and they would go on 80 to 100 plus mile bike rides weekly.
Wow.
They would do that, twice a week. And it's like, that is just insane. The amount of training these guys do is insane. And, they're physically fit. They're monsters. And, looking at a guy like me, I'm not built very well. I'm a pretty big dude, but motocross is tough. It's really hard. And speaking of that, I actually had Seth come out to the motocross track with me last week.
Yeah,
he's never rode before, and he was like, you could see in his face he'd never done actual. He's like, oh, this is not easy.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's fun because the two parallel each other in so many different aspects. It's just it's tough to get people to do both.
Okay. Well, you've only been in the hobby for a year plus, but you sounds like you've been deeply involved in it. What are some of the things that you like about it? Some of the things you want to see change, would like to see change, or just think that could be done better?
Obviously, I wish there was less tire options. As crazy as that sounds, it would just even the field out a little more, in my opinion. There's just so many different options. But honestly, I love it. I wish there was more heads-up racing where we're from. That kind of sucks that there isn't. It's and there's I don't know. There's a lot of home field advantage at some of these tracks you go to, especially in this state, and it sounds like other states. And that's frustrating that people can kind of, set heats the way they want. That sucks, but it is what it is. Other than that, the racing part of it's fun. I don't know what you could change to make it for the better, but I think it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. Are you a little bit? We talked about this. How about the professional side of RC? You were saying that and I agree, the pros in our industry are a lot more accessible. But do you think it can be? I'm a big proponent of it being more professional. I want it to be not like motocross, but I kind of wanted to emulate motocross in that say where we actually have real pros and teams and they I want to see them wearing matching uniforms and stuff like that myself.
That could for sure, that would help. The t-shirts on the drivers, so in motocross, when I first started mechanicking for guys that were racing at nationals, and I've done it for quite a while, but the first one I ever went to, we went up to the line together, and he's like, the guy stopped me and goes, "You can't go to the gate." I'm like, "Why not?" He goes, "You have to have a collared shirt on. That's the rule. You have to have a collared shirt, or you can't even go to the gate."
Really?
So it'd be nice to see for sure. When I was watching Nats and stuff, seeing the guys up on the stand, they're all just wearing t-shirts, and it's that's fine, but it definitely helped. It improved the look of it at a professional level, I guess.
Yeah, I think so too. Treat it professional, and everybody else will. If you act professional, treat it professional, everybody else will take it as professional. So
Yeah, exactly. Kind of dress for the job you want type thing.
cool, man.
That'd be cool to see the guys be a little more professional. And but I really do enjoy how easy it is to contact any of these guys, and they're all good to answer your questions. You know, I've messaged Born Horse before and stuff like that, and they're quick to respond and help you out. Which, you know, I'm not gonna text Justin Barsha and ask him for setups on my 450.
But
you know what I mean?
Well, they like you look at each one of those guys' Instagram profiles; they all have 500 plus followers and stuff. You know, some more than that. So it's difficult to answer all their questions, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, a lot of those guys have people they pay to run their social media.
Yeah.
You know, it's a different world. But there's so many similarities in it. Obviously, you guys got Christian Craig and Justin Barsha and you know, Seven Deuce, guys like that are racing RC cars, and I think they could really help spread the word. If you know these social posts that they put out help, because I have buddies that know I race RC cars and they think it's lame, and then you know someone like Christian Craig makes a post about it and they're like, "Oh, dude, what's he driving? Could I get one of those?"
Exactly. Yeah, Eli Tomac used to drive a JQ, so
yeah, and you know Eli's kind of like Captain America. He's whatever he does, everybody else wants to do. So
yeah.
I think it would help if you could get some of those guys into it and making social posts. It seriously makes a difference.
I agree. That's why I tagged on Instagram. I've got them all tagged on the podcast, and I just try to hope. You never know, man. It's social media is so powerful. You never know where one of your posts go. And I'm desperately trying to get one of them on here to talk about RC. So I'm working on that as well. So it should be good.
Absolutely. I think that'd be great.
Well, cool, man. Before we finish this up, is there anything you'd like to add? Anything you'd like to say?
No, not really. Just racing RC cars, loving it, hoping to keep getting faster and make some mains at a bigger race. That's the goal.
What races are you planning on attending the rest of this year?
Like I said, I'm waiting on Seth to kind of come up with something, but I know we have a regional race coming up, a Aurora Regional in Iowa. I honestly don't even remember the track, but that one I know I'm for sure planning to go to. So other than that, I don't really know. Maybe
how about bucket list races that you would like to attend?
I haven't been in it long enough to really have them. It's tough, you know, I've only been in it for a year and a half, and I only started following the professional side of it a month or two ago because it just occurred to me that it exists. It's not very well broadcasted, so it's tough to find it. So, but I saw like DNC. I saw, you know, you've been talking about it, so I decided to watch some of it. Stuff like that looks really cool.
Yeah.
So I guess something like that would be cool. And honestly, the RCGP format is super rad. It'd be, you know, if anyone was ever good enough to be at that level, you know, like where I'm at, that would be a cool thing to be involved because it's just a cool event.
Cool. Yeah, I hopefully we can change things, man, and make things for the better in RC and get more people in, and that's the whole thing, man. The more people we get racing, the better it is for everybody.
Absolutely, definitely need new people, and I just hope people stick around. It's tough.
Yep, it is. You know, I think they get disappointed too fast when they realize they just aren't as fast as they think they should be right away. I think that's the biggest deterrent for RC. They think, oh, this is easy. I can do it. I can be fast just like these guys. No, it takes time, talent, practice, and dedication, just like anything else.
Yeah, I personally picked up a lot of speed right away, and I got to be pretty decent right away, and then I got to a point where it's like, okay, now it's really slow progress, and it's tough. It's very frustrating.
I could imagine.
You know, because I did one sportsman race ever. I won it, and then I went straight to A-mains in every other class locally, mind you. We don't have a very big turnout, so. But you know, doing fine in those and doing okay, and now it's like, okay, I can't. It's really hard to find another full second. You know what I mean?
Well, you got to get, you get it. You got to get out and get racing around faster guys, and not saying you're around different guys, and probably guys that are more at your speed or maybe just a little bit faster. The more you do that, the faster you get. So don't get disappointed, man. Just keep it up. And
it's tough practicing with a guy like Seth when he's 2 seconds a lap faster than you, but you know, we'll get there.
Cool, man. Well, I'm glad I got to meet you, man. Thank you for your time. I greatly appreciate it. And we'll be in contact. And
yeah, awesome. I appreciate it. It's good talking to you, and I love listening to the show. So
thank you. I appreciate
keep going,
it.
And hopefully I can get a few other motocrossers your way.
Yeah, that'd be great, man. We got to spread the love. Well, thanks, Conner, and I want to say thank you to Tekno RC for sponsoring the Grassroots Racer Spotlight. Have a good day, Conner.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.
We are now at that point of the show where you should fasten those seatbelts and put your big boy pants on.
Whoa. Things are about to get serious.
It's time for the JQ Racing Rant.
Welcome to the JQ Racing Rant. This is the part of the podcast where you have to put your big boy pants on because this is the uncensored, raw, in the pits type of talk that you get at a race between adults and friends and having fun, banter, jokes, everything, you name it. So this week, it's just myself and Jeff Keeton, who's driving across America somewhere, as you can hear. What's up, Jeff? How are you?
I am doing fan-freaking-tastic. Currently driving on Interstate 80 in Wyoming, somewhere. Freaking in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, you have a pretty big announcement. I saw on Facebook that everybody thinks you're going to driving across the country to go to a race, but you know.
Well, I am going to be going up to a race up in the Northwest, but I am definitely going to be doing a lot more racing on the West Coast, mainly the Northwest, because I am relocating to the Boise, Idaho area.
Yes.
Which is, well, I've seen, some people have probably seen a lot of memes and jokes about me being in Idaho and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's pretty.
That's why I took a job opportunity to go over there and going to be hanging my hat. So I picked up my marbles and left Florida and rolling to the West Coast.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about America, man. If you don't like where you live, you can always just pack up and go to a different state somewhere. And
you can.
I'm sure.
Plus, I needed a change of scenery. The East Coast guys, they were kind of getting boring. So I decided I needed to kind of go liven up the West Side, and
or maybe they got tired of your shit and kicked you out.
That could be too. But in my defense, at least I didn't go out like a Lance McDonald, Facebook Live kind of way. I just packed up and moved to the other side of the world.
Yeah, but you be traveling back to Florida every once in a while as well.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I'll be going back there quite a bit.
Well, one thing you don't have to worry about is too much heat and humidity now, but you will be in snow and cold.
Yeah, that is going to be unfortunate for the 8-scale side of things because it is going to be a little more seasonal in the area that I'm in. So, unfortunately, I'll be forced to run some 10-scale stuff, but I'm sure I'll slip down to Northern California and some of the California stuff. Actually, one of my goals is I want to be able to race in the California area a little bit more, mainly because I really, really want to work on my relationship with Drake.
Oh.
And so I feel like if I can race more in the California area and he gets to see me more on a weekly basis, maybe his hatred towards me would shift a little bit and we can find that love that we once had many, many years ago.
You are insane, I tell you.
I hope so. I really hope so. That's going to be one of my goals. My main goal, I'll know when I've reached that love level, because he's going to invite me to his house for dinner and maybe.
See, you always have to go there. You're insane. So, but off topic, on the same topic, the Pacific Northwest has a very healthy race scene up there. I think you're going to enjoy it. I talked to, we have a lot of guys up there. I talked to a bunch of guys up there that are just there, period, and they have fun at races. They do race 10 scale and 8 scale together during the summer, but it looks like they have fun. They like to drink and just looks like a great time. And it's another group called Die Hard RC, which I was watching them. They do a lot of carpet racing and crawling and it's pretty impressive. I think you're going to fit in well up there. I think you're going to have fun. And
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I've talked to a few guys on Facebook and kind of getting an idea of where the tracks are, and like this track we're going to next weekend in Walla Walla, Washington.
Yeah,
Like, I just like saying that too. That's
It's
like
like
a freaking awesome name, like Walla Walla, Washington.
You know how I know about Walla Walla from Oregon Trail days when we used to play that on the computer.
Really?
Yeah.
My parents got married in Walla Walla, so I kind of know the area. But it's gonna be good. I'm excited because it's a new group of people. It's kind of new tracks,
A new adventure.
different dirt. Yeah, it's gonna be different setups, different. Everything's different. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll rejuvenate my interest as well because I was getting a little burnt out there for a while.
Yeah, it's always good, man. Rejuvenate the passion for RC. Have a good time. Meet new people. Are they going to be ready for you, though? I don't know.
That's I was talking to Jason Rona, and kind of telling him my plans, and he definitely said that I need to make sure that I don't go in guns a-blazing because it is going to be a culture shock, and it is going to be, it is a different group of. They're not as committed as my East Coast guys.
I think you'll be fine.
So I can't. I gotta make sure I don't piss anybody off the first day. I gotta at least wait until a week out before I trade anyway.
I think you'll be fine, man. I think you'll be fine. Go up there and have fun. That's the whole thing. And I think you'll meet a lot of cool people and you'll be a superstar in no time.
I don't know about the superstar part, but I'll definitely have a good time.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, we would have had Joseph on this, but he should be getting into Italy today for the Euros this weekend. And like typical Joseph, this guy and headphones, like your headphones you use to talk and communicate on your phone, something that he absolutely needs all the time. This dude loses them or leaves them in places all the time. When he was going across America, he lost them twice. And then he hits me up. He goes, I won't be able to record because I left my earbuds at the house. I was like, well, buy another cheap set. I will. But, he's cheap, so he didn't buy anything. So he isn't going to be in her, but I see.
Though, let me stop you right there. Because this is kind of what the rant's going to be about is excuses, right? So this week's rant's going to be about excuses. And again, it's an excuse because Joseph knows the reason why he didn't come on. The real reason why he didn't come on is because he knows he's getting ready for the Euros. He's wanting to do good, and he knows that I'm going to give him some shit and bust his bubble and hurt his confidence, and he didn't want to listen to me. That's why he blocked me on Facebook. That's why he didn't come on the podcast, because he knows that I'm going to call him out and give him a little, come to Jesus on his true expectations for the Euros. That's why I think.
Or maybe you would have encouraged him too. Maybe he would have encouraged him by saying, I'm going to show Jeff that he's wrong. Watch this. Hold my beer. But it should be interesting. I'm looking forward to this race just as much as I like watching the Nationals. The Euros is one of the big races of the year that I I'll be geeked out, beer in the fridge, sitting there all weekend watching this. Good thing is it's a few hours ahead, so I don't have to be there all day. So I just have to get up early and watch it. So.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too, and I like RC Racing TV. They're going to be televising it, so the coverage is going to be good, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I just saw. Sorry,
who's your picks,
man?
Your top, give me your top three.
I can't remember who I picked last week, but I really want. I think it's going to be. I want Ronafalk to win. Ronafalk, Ongaro, Battier, but you know who I'm throwing in there as my dark horse? Barufalo.
Yeah, I think he's going to do well. So, okay. So, is that your order? That's going to be your order is Ronafalk?
I'm going to pick Ronafalk for the win.
Okay. All right. So, it's definitely going to be the Ongaro and Ronafalk show. Like, I think those two. And it's going to... This is what's really interesting to me is, there's a lot of fast guys. There's any one of those fast Euro guys can win the race, right? It's they're all good. They're all great. But there's always two that stand out, just like the Roar Nationals. Going into the Roar Nationals, you know, I was really thinking Lutz was going to win. And I think there was a handful of guys that could win that race. But it turned out to be the Spencer and Mayfield show, right? Until Mayfield didn't make it. Right? So who's the guy that's not going to make the final at the Euros?
Well, they do have an LCQ. That Ongaro, I believe Ongaro got in via LCQ last year. Who's the guy that's not going to make it? I don't know, but it could be anybody.
Okay. So who's going to be the fast guy that's going to be in the LCQ? I'm going to go Boots.
You know what? I was about to say that too. But if he drives like he did at Silver State, and this track is going to get blown out.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was at the LCQ in at the Worlds. I think, was he? Yeah, he won it, didn't he?
Yeah, he was, because he won it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's
no, he didn't win it. What's his name won it? CJ won it. He finished second.
Right, so Boots didn't make it. All right. See, that's how confused I am. It's been so long. I don't know. That's a hard thing, but that was the first name. But then again, Boots is doing all right. Like if it's like I think
that the S-Works car definitely fits him, but no, I think it's gonna be. I think he'll be my one that's in the LCQ. But okay, so now I definitely think Ongaro's gonna win the race because he's just the baddest,
and it's his home track.
It's his home track. I mean, that kid, he's gonna win. Like, there's just nobody gonna beat him. But I do think that Ronald Falk wants this win more than anything or anyone. Like, he's thirsting for a win, and he's due a win. Like, he's had some struggles, especially with RCGP races. He's had a few struggles.
DNC.
You know, definitely Ongaro's becoming his biggest rival and arch nemesis, and like, can he beat him? Like, you know, that's getting in his head. You know it is.
I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I think he definitely wants it, probably more than anybody. But it's going to be a Ronald Falk and Ongaro show. It's going to be between those two.
Yeah, you also can't count on Battier though, because
I think he is. I mean, he's always up there, but like you said, I think there's a few European guys that are starting to show that they got speed and they got pace, and if they can just clean up their driving a little bit. I mean, I think Knass can beat Battier anytime.
Yeah,
you know, I think,
he did the other day in the Spanish Nationals. And so Barufalo is like, you know what Joseph said on the last podcast? He said Barufalo is like the Fend of Europe.
I agree with that. Well, he doesn't. He's a little. Finn's a little more smoother.
Yeah, Barufalo would just drive through you.
Nuts. That dude's just nuts.
Yeah,
but he's fast.
Oh, he is. He does some ridiculous lines, man. But we shall see. I'll be tuned in. I can't wait.
He'll TQ a round or two. I guarantee you that.
His time's coming. His time is coming. But then you got guys like Yao Figueiredo, Berton. You got the Killix from, you know.
But again, in the end, though, I mean, those guys are fast, and they're faster than most drivers. But in the end, they're lap traffic. Let's be real.
Well, we shall see. They have some fast Italian guys, kids. Don't forget.
There's a lot of fast guys, but I'm talking the elite, the elite of the elite. You know, there's only 2 or 3 that's got a shot at it.
Cool. Well, we'll be watching it. We're going to do a giveaway for that. Hopefully, I give away this skateboard deck this week. I'm going to wait till we actually know who's in the main before I close it. Unlike I did at the Nationals, where everybody picked Mayfield and he didn't make it, so everybody, nobody won it.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk. You have a few things. Our topic this week is going to be about excuses. You ruffled a few feathers. We ruffled a few feathers on our Nationals. Our Nationals, whatchamacallit, podcast.
Oh, the podcast, yes.
You definitely, but
Well, I do owe one individual an apology, and I was maybe a little hard on him, and it kind of got taken out a little bit of context. Like, I do like the guy. He is good for RC. He is doing a good job, and I was maybe a little hard on him, but I do owe Tyler Hooks an apology.
Yeah, he was a bit rough on him.
Well, he wasn't super pissed. He was hurt by the fact that I maybe called him. Apparently, I called him a couple names that I didn't even realize I did. Because when I get on a rant, sometimes I just start throwing shit out there, and stuff rolls off my tongue, and I don't remember exactly what I said. But apparently I did, and if I said some things that maybe I shouldn't have, that was a personal thing towards Tyler Hooks, and that's not really my intention. Like, I do think that he did a good job. I said that the Live RC crew did a good job as a whole, that it was like one of their better events that they've covered. But some of the talking points that they had were boring and stupid, and some of the information that I felt that they should have known, and all that stuff. So outside of that, but as far as Tyler goes, Tyler's a good dude. He's great for the hobby. He's great for his sponsors and everything else. I didn't even know. I thought he was still a Proline guy. Like, I didn't even realize he's not even a Proline guy anymore. That he's a AKA guy. See, that shows you how much I pay attention to his racing program.
Yeah, he's been doing videos and stuff for them as of late. So
yeah, so I mean, he's doing great. But I do owe him an apology. So for that, Tyler, if you're listening, well, I know you're going to listen because everybody listens to the No Name podcast.
I wish.
So when you listen to this, Tyler, from the bottom of my heart, I truly, truly am sorry for the personal, stupid comments that I made towards you. You're a good dude. You're great for the industry. You're great for the hobby. You do need to get some better information, but other than that, it's all good.
Okay.
And then as far as the other claim was that I saw some flack from was my statements regarding the tires, when we were talking about tires from the Roar Nats, and how I would prefer to be at this race where we had one tire, we could run one tire for 4 qualifiers, and there was some of the pro drivers jumped on there and was like, bullshit, it was 1-run tires. Well, to back my claim up here, I understand it was 1-run tires for the lead drivers, because they're taking a brand new set of tires and they're going to sand them down to the perfect tread height so they can get that fast running, because those guys are fighting for tenths of seconds, right? I'm talking about the average Joe. Me as a consumer, me as a guy who's buying my shit, I'm not taking a brand new set of tires and sanding them down to the perfect tread height so I could go out there and race for tenths of seconds, because I'm not that good, and I'm not racing for tenths of seconds. I'm racing to try not to crash. And for most of us, 90% of the people that were at that race are racing to not crash. They're not racing to fight for tenths of seconds. So the masses, the guys that matter, the people that support this hobby financially, those guys are benefiting from this track because they can run one set of tires all weekend and be just as fast because they're not crashing. That's what's dictating their runs, is how many times they crash and not crash, not how many times they blow a corner and lose a tenth of a second and lost TQ. There's a huge gap in that side of things that people don't really get. They see the pro guys taking a brand new set of tires and sending them down, and it's a lot in 10 scale. Same thing in 10 scale. Well, they see all these pro guys doing this shit, and they're like, "Oh, I have to do that to be fast."
Yeah.
Well, no, you don't. You need to put some shit on your car and go out there and not crash. You'll get better.
Yes. That comes down to it, man. And these, like you said, these guys are doing everything to get that tenth of a second off, because they can do it and they have the talent, they have the abilities to do that and notice that. Me, like you said, I'm just trying to go out there and not crash a lap, and make sure I have a clean lap. And I think we all need to focus on that, because that I would say that 2% of the people that can do that in RC, maybe 5%, they can notice the difference. But you and me, the regular plebs, We're just going out there, and you don't need to do that. You just need to have a tire that works and makes your car easy to drive, in my opinion.
And that's what people don't get, is that's one of the big things that is a huge myth in the hobby. And it's more so on the 8 scale side than it is a 10 scale side. Like, I get on the 10 scale side, tires dictate everything, tread height, tire prep is ridiculous on the 10 scale side. I get all that. But on the 8 scale side, once you figure out the tire that's working, like, unless you're going to a track like Southside, where the Roar Nats was last year, where the traction level definitely changes by the race. Like, every race it's different. Then it's, you got to mount up a bunch. But at Thornhill, under those conditions, once you figured out your tire, the tire that you're going to qualify with, then that's it. Like, that tire's it. And you could run that tire over and over and over, and it's just going to get faster and faster and faster. Your car will get harder to drive because there's less tread, and you're running slicks, and then it gets a little edgy, but still, it's drivable, and it's just not crashing.
Okay. Yeah, but people just always going to go like that. We can go on a whole rant about that, but people like needing the pro setups and needing following everything the pro does. Well, you don't, like I said, you don't have the pro guy skill set, so it's a completely different subject. But you do have a great topic that you want to touch on this week, and it's about excuses.
Right.
And racing.
Our JQ racing rant this week is gonna be on excuses. And the excuses itself, everybody has excuses. Some have valid excuses and some don't. But I see it more and more and more every single race, and it's starting to become a bigger problem with the younger drivers. And the problem is nobody is willing to accept responsibility. And it comes in the way of hacking, right? So I would have run this race. I'm like, typical excuse here. I'm winning the race until the last lap, and I was passing someone to win the race, and I got hacked. That person hacked me, and I flew off the track and lost the race. So they're blaming the person that they were lapping because they didn't win the race. And I get that there's times, and there has been times, where stuff like that does happen, and it's innocent, and it just, sometimes, a fast guy's in with a slow guy, and he's coming up on the slow guy so fast, and the slow guy gets scared, and he's like trying to get out of the way, and then getting in the way, and that shit happens. Like, I get that. But you hear it all too often, that situation. And my question to the driver, the fast guy in this scenario, my question to them is if you're leading the race and you have a half a second lead on second place, and you're coming up to win the race, and there's a lap car in front of you, can you back off just a little bit, just a smidge, to be able to not even try and pass that guy just across the loop to win the race? Or are you so impatient that you just expect everybody to get out of your way and continue on your racing line to go win the race? Like, for me, people have no patience in this hobby, for one, but they want to pass someone so bad, so fast right now, and they don't want to wait, and they end up getting tangled up with them, when, to me, it's not so much the person that they're passing's fault. It's their own fault, like their own responsibility, their own job. If you look at the pro guys can go out and they can navigate traffic like no one's business. I love watching the pro guys race, the elite drivers, but I really like watching the elite drivers on practice day, because that's when you really, really, truly get to see their talent in navigating traffic. And the pro guys, they bitch just as much as everybody else. I lost a race because so-and-so took me out, or I didn't get a good seating round because I'm with all these yahoos that can't drive. And, everybody, they all do it. Everybody does it. Doesn't matter what level it is. But you can definitely tell when a fast guy who maybe is driving above his head just a little bit or whatever is trying to get around traffic and they force something that shouldn't have happened. And then they want to blame that person. You hacked me. You got in my way. You wouldn't get out of my way. You made me lose the race. Whatever the case is. When, you got to take a little bit of responsibility and say, maybe I shouldn't have passed in that spot. Maybe I shouldn't have forced this particular incident, and I could have waited just a half second to a second. Like, that's all it takes. Don't try and pass in a turn. Maybe pass down the straightaway that's coming up, or, be a little smarter in how you're doing it. And if it does happen, take some responsibility. Like, own it. Be like, yeah, I kind of screwed that one up. Instead of blaming everybody else for your faults.
Well, how about this? We touched on this. I know, how about races like the Nationals where they actually need to have 2 referees calling, I think, to call traffic and stuff like that too. For the person, what's that beeping noise? Is his car going to blow up?
No, that's my radar detector. I'm currently running about 98 miles an hour on this flat ass road.
And doing a podcast.
It's awesome. It's funny. As I start talking, though, I go faster. It's kind of interesting.
Are you like in the desert?
I'm in the middle of nowhere.
I'm surprised you even have internet service.
I am too.
I think at these bigger races, yes, I agree. There is some form of you can't just run into the back of this lap traffic. You're gonna mess it up, or I get that people get nervous. They don't know which way to go, but I think that comes to them is not knowing that they're lap traffic as well. And I think that's
right.
One of my biggest issues is there needs to be somebody letting them know, hey, number 2, the leader's coming up on you. Please pull over, or do so when you can. And not all the time you can just pull over. Sometimes you have to go to that next corner and just go wide. And the person behind them has to be patient about that as well.
Well, I agree, and that's where the headsets for me have been a huge advantage, because I'm not one unless when I'm out there racing, unless I know for a fact that the person coming up behind me is lapping me, I'm racing that car, because I don't know, right? I don't know who I'm racing, and that's part of the issue with nitro racing. It's loud, it's chaotic, it's 30 minutes, it's an hour long. You don't know what's going on in the race. You're just trying to focus on your own shit, right? So when I'm out there racing, if I don't have headsets on, and I know for a fact that the car coming up behind me, if he's lapping me, and I know that that's the leader or first or second, then I'm getting out of the way. Right. And I'm pretty good about that. But if I don't know, or if I don't know your paint job, or I don't know your car, I'm assuming I'm racing for everything. And so I'm going to race, and I'm gonna block you, and I'm gonna check you up, and I'm gonna make it to where it's hard for you to get around me. Yeah. Now the headsets have been a huge addition to that, because I can ask my pit guy. I can be like, "Hey, who's that behind me? Is that for position? Is it not for position? Is it, am I being lapped? Do I need to get out of his way?" So I have that communication with my pit guy, who can check the monitor and kind of help me out and tell me that. So for me personally, that's helped in that aspect. But prior to the headsets, I'm racing anybody on the track. Unless I know for a fact that you're lapping me, I'm racing your ass.
Well, it's funny you say that, because over in England and the BRCA, you can't use the headsets. They're banned. They're not allowed.
Oh, wow. I don't know.
Yeah. Apparently they do it because, well, come on, they're expensive, like, number one. And they're like, hey, if everybody can't use them, then nobody can use them. And I get that. But also at these races, they also have referees on the stand that look for rough drive and tell people to pass, stuff like that as well. Yeah,
but even the referees thing, we've touched on that before, but you have 15 cars in a race. Unless you're having one referee for every 2 drivers, or, I mean, it would take so many referees to call a race like that legitimately and consistently throughout the course of a 15-hour day. You would have to have
They alternate.
a ton of referees up there watching the race.
I forget how they do it, but they may have one guy on, and then he goes and like they do it. They alternate it through different racers or something like that. I'm not 100% sure how to do it. I do know that the headsets are banned because they're extremely expensive, and they say, well, it's an unfair advantage for one person to have them and another person to not have them. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, if you allow it, I think everybody's going to find a way to get them. And they are expensive. I don't see why they're so expensive.
We're in a hobby where people, in the end, like, people are giving. And if I'm in a finals and I wanted headsets, I guarantee you I could go find a set.
Yeah.
And somebody would be more than happy to let me borrow them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a bullshit thing. Like, I don't agree with that.
Well, I mean, but hacking does happen.
It is.
Hacking does happen. People do get taken out. And
it does. And there's people that do it on, like, and trust me, I'm no saint. Like, I'm a pretty transparent guy. I've done it on purpose. Like, there's been times when somebody's pissed me off and I'm like, oh, I'm going to show this guy. And I'll boot his ass off the track. Like, the difference between me and some others, though, is I'll own it. Like, I'll tell you that I'm going to do it, or I'm going to tell you after the fact, yeah, I did that one on purpose. How do you like them apples? You know? So I don't, like, I'll own it. I don't do it. You know, if I do something on purpose like that, I'm going to tell you. If I do it on accident, then I'm going to be like, hey, man, I'm sorry. There's been times when I've raced the lead drivers, and I've gone into Mayfield at AMS one time.
Yeah.
We were in a qualifier, and he came up on me so fast, I couldn't get out of the way. And he got pissed because he lost a TQ run because of it. And I'm like, dude, sorry, but you fucking came on me way too fast. Like, I had nowhere to go. You know, sucks to be you, but shit, it happens.
Yeah, it's racing, man. And I think we have to determine what's a racing incident and what's a hack, too. You know, and we touched on that with the whole Lutz and tie pass. But, like, sometimes I see people wait when they shouldn't wait. And sometimes, and a lot of times I see people just go when they should have waited. And I think it comes down to, man, if you're both battling, like, close to getting into that corner and you go wide or you check up and that person hits you from behind, for me, that's a racing incident. Right. If you go wide and that person just uses you as a berm and punch you, then, yeah, that was a hack, you know?
Right.
So we have to be forgiving. We're not actually in the cars. We don't, you know, people, like, man, that happened to me. Like, I'm right behind the person and then be like, I'm sorry, my brake finger doesn't work as fast as that. Like, you know, so,
well,
yeah.
And to me, back on the excuse side of it, it is for all these drivers, and this is club racing, regional racing, national level, like all of it. You know, if you lose a race because you wreck someone, like you got into a lap traffic, that's not on the lap traffic. That's on you. Yeah. Because you should, if you're good enough to lap that person, then you're good enough to check up and wait a half second and pass in a better spot. Right. I understand that. If you're not, then you're too impatient and you deserve to lose a race. Cool. So that's the excuse side on hacking. Now, we have more excuses, right? Because everybody's got excuses. So the other excuse that you hear a lot is tires. And the tire excuse to me is a legit one. Like, it is so hard to pick the right tire a lot of times, and I'll go out and I'll get my ass handed to me because I picked the wrong tire. Like, it happens. And that to me is a valid excuse why you lost a race. I'm clearly fast. I'm clearly good. I went out in the main. I was expecting the track to do this. I picked this tire. The track didn't do that, and my car sucked. Lost the race. Done. Like, that's it. The third excuse that drives me insane.
But let's get back to tires real quick. Let's get back to tires.
Okay.
It's the most famous excuse for everybody to lose. That's why I feel, and we've talked about this before, spec tire races come under so much criticism. Because that takes one excuse away, the main excuse that people have, to why they don't win.
I agree.
And a good tire will make a mediocre driver do better than a good driver with a shitty tire. I think at the end of the day. So I'm in agreement with you. I love spec. I think we need to have more spec tire racing. It keeps costs down. It puts everybody on an even field, even grain, and it takes away that excuse, well, I didn't have the tire to compete. So I think that's one of the reasons why spec tire meets so much resistance. That famous excuse for not having a tire to compete is taken away from people, and then they have to finally admit, okay, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. Or maybe I don't know how to set up my car as good as I should and stuff like that. So it is an excuse. It's a valid excuse, but it's also the most famous and most used excuse, I think.
I agree. I 100% agree with everything you said. Totally. Okay. All right, so now the third excuse. And this one, outside of everything, this excuse drives me the most insane. Like this one, I just want to throat punch people when they use this excuse. And it's the marshal excuse.
Yeah.
I lost a race because of a corner marshal. And that excuse is the most frustrating to me, probably because I'm a slow-ass corner marshal. Like, you wreck in front of me, it sucks to be you, right? I'm not fast. I ain't no athlete. I'm gonna get to your car as fast as I can. I try and anticipate cars that wrecked and start getting my big ass rolling to the car while it's wrecking to try and get there a little bit faster. Like I try my hardest to save your ass as quick as I can, but I'm slow. And there's a lot of slow corner marshals, and there's a lot of stupid corner marshals. There is corner marshals that don't pay attention, and you are upside down, and your car's sitting right next to them, and you're winging the gas, trying to get their attention, and they finally see it and go flip it. And I get all that, but at the end of the day, you're the one that wrecked.
Yep.
Hands down, you put yourself in that position to need to put your fate, your race, in the hands of somebody else. That is 100% your fault as a driver. So I lost the race because of this corner marshal is the biggest bullshit excuse ever. I lost this race because I couldn't handle the pressure of winning, and I wrecked on the last lap, and the corner marshal didn't get my car. Still my fault. I was in this race and I was kicking ass until I did something stupid and flew off the track, and the corner marshal was slow to get to me. Your fault. Like, you can't blame a corner marshal for anything.
No,
and the ones
can't.
that really, really, really take it to up a notch is the ones that they blame the corner marshal so bad that after the race, they got to go confront that corner marshal.
Which happened at PMB last year.
It happens all the time.
Which I thought was very wrong.
And those guys, those are the ones that need to get a throat punch. Because you are blaming somebody for your mistake. Stop using that one as an excuse. Stop blaming the corner marshals. They're there to help you, but they're not there to make you win a race. They're there to try and get to your car as quick as possible. Are some better than others? You're damn right.
Yeah.
If I'm racing, I want Ryan Lutz corner marshal in my car, because that dude is badass. Like, he is a master corner marshal guy. But outside of him, like, I don't trust anybody. I don't want anybody touching my shit. Like, I don't want to wreck. because I don't want to rely on somebody else.
Well,
but I do because I wreck a lot. So it is what it is.
And the only way I think you can blame, there's two reasons when you can blame a term marshal. Two. That is, if a term marshal is on his phone or doing something stupid when he should be term marshaling. Or
still can't blame him.
Well,
because you wrecked.
Yes, you did wreck. But if he doesn't see your car because he's on his phone, then he is at fault at some point too.
No. He is a shitty corner marshal that needs to be kicked in the nuts. But it ain't his fault that you lost.
Or there are no term marshals that are supposed to be there, and then that's not the term marshal's fault or your fault. That's the race director's fault.
That's the race director's fault. So bringing back to the Roar Nationals, right? So the guys that were bitching about corner marshaling at the Roar Nationals because there are none. Now that's a legit excuse. Like I didn't lose this race because there's no corner marshal. That's just a shitty race. Like that's unacceptable.
Yeah,
but
one of my pet peeves is I get it, man. We're racing, we get heated, we're up there, we're passionate. I see some people just now. Sometimes, you rev your car, so a corner. Sometimes it's hard to pay attention to everything as a marshal. You flip if a guy doesn't see your car, you rev it. Sometimes you're like, hey, or something like that. But I hate, like, I'll be standing next to guys and guys like, that fucking marshal, and I'm like, hey, you wrecked, like, stop. And then I'll see that same guy go and wreck. And I've done it myself. Like, I'll flip, and then I'll go do something stupid and flip, and that same marshal has to go get me. At the end of the day, you are 100%. It's your issue. Right. You wrecked. It's not the marshal's fault. And don't be shouting and screaming at these guys because they're out hustling. They might be big boys like me. Like, I'm good for 10 yards, if that, maybe 10 feet, 20 feet. I'm good for that. After that, I'm no more good, And multiple term marshals, like, I'm a big boy. I'm going to be out of breath. Stop, man. People get so wound up on the driver's stand. They're up there. They're like, they're just going crazy. This fucking marshal, stupid fucking marshal. And I'm just like, you people need to calm the fuck down, man.
Right. Really? I agree. It is ridiculous. And it is, I've been there. Like, I've been really frustrated with corner marshals myself. Many times and many races for many years, it happens. Like, you're pissed. But in my mind, though, I am pissed in the moment because this corner marshal was slow and whatever the case is. But once that thought comes in my head, like, oh my God, this corner marshal just fucked me. Then my next thought is, you fucking idiot. Why did you wreck by that corner marshal that fucked you?
Yeah.
So it is what it is. Like, I take responsibility on those. Like, I get frustrated, but at the end of the day, I'm the one that wrecked. It's my fault. I shouldn't have. Again, it's a decision making. This whole thing is decision making, just like when you're trying to pass someone.
Yeah.
Like, maybe I shouldn't have tried to clear that double when clearly I didn't have a good run up to it. Check it out. Like, whatever the case is, there's 1,000 things that I could have done different to keep from having to rely on that shitty ass corner.
And maybe because I've hit a few people in my life, if RC cars, and I've been hit a couple of times. I'm like, I see people that have no concern for a term marshal whatsoever and will still come flying through. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. AMS last year was like, whew.
When Cole went flying through the pit row.
That was Southern Nats. That was cool. But I mean at AMS last year with the crossover, it was a high.
Oh yeah, the corner mark. Oh yeah, the crossover.
Oh man, I saw some people like I would check up, and then this one guy just he just barrel rolled, like came through me. I'm like, man, there's a term marshal trying to get cars. There's 4 cars wrecked on it, and you guys still want to jump this shit? Like, I don't want to hit nobody. Like, it's a shitty feeling. So we have to have some sort of like. I can go on. Well, we also need high vis vest so we can see, because I know sometimes you just got tunnel vision right on your car, but you kind of have to be looking around too. Like, okay, there's a guy. Like, man, you don't. If you hit somebody in their head, dude, like, it's gonna be ugly. Like, and I see people driving without any care for that is an actual human being out there trying to get their car. And I get it when some people are like, I'm not gonna get that until all this stops. I mean, I've seen times where I'm like, you could have got that too. But I totally understand that. I don't know, man. Just don't get upset. Like, I saw the guy get upset at PNB last year, and he was pissed off, and like it was almost a fight. And you know, I'm like, really? We don't need to get this. It's a race. We don't need to get this upset. Like, you know, if you flip twice in the same spot and somebody doesn't see you, that's your fault. Completely your fault. So we just need to be more considerate, I think, on all aspects. And like,
take responsibility. That's my big thing.
I think so.
Own
too.
it. Like, hey, you could have won this race. Like, you had a great shot at winning that race, but you screwed up. Like, not a big deal. It's just a race. There's another one. Don't make that same mistake twice. And then you don't have to worry about it.
Pretty much, man. Pretty much. All right. Well, I think we talked about the excuses far enough. We need to get Joseph back next week. Hopefully he'll be, I don't know when he's going home, but I love it when you two get together, and it's so much better hearing you two argue or debate.
Well, we still have to have our RCGP ran off.
Yeah,
you know?
He does. I think he's avoiding you on that one.
He is. He's scared because he knows I'm going to kick him in the nuts.
Well, man, you continue on your voyage to, when will you reach Boise?
I'll be there tonight.
It's so... You know what? I've driven across America 5 times since DNC 2018. Mike Hill drove the last 2 when we drove across and back. I enjoy it. I enjoy every drive I do.
I said yesterday I drove about 20 hours yesterday, and that was pretty good. I got about 15 to go today, make it all the way across. But
how many miles?
Good. I like it. Like, I don't mind it.
Are you towing a trailer behind you, a U-Haul trailer?
No.
So you just packed everything in your car?
I packed. I most of my shit's still in storage. Like, I'll move all that stuff at some point. But
you took the most important stuff.
I took all the important shit. So my car is completely packed, full of RC shit and clothes. That's it.
That's all you need. It's like RC stuff.
That's all I fucking brought. My RC shit and clothes.
All right, man. Well, you have a safe drive. Thank you for coming on. And I want to say thank you to everybody for listening to the podcast. Thank you to all of our sponsors. I got to go through them. That will be Tekno RC, JQ Racing, Assault RC, BK Servers, Bipolar Designs, and our new sponsor, 454 RC Designs. We do have a couple more sponsors coming on soon that I will announce. Thank you for all of us of the support. Thank you to all the patrons that support us. You guys enjoy the Euros. Check it out. We're going to do a giveaway for that. Somebody's got to win that skateboard deck. And remember, nitro is the glory, but e-buggy pays the bills. And if you ain't grinding, you're sliding. Lefty out. Say goodbye, Jeff.
Peace out.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the No Name RC podcast. Please tune in next time for more fresh RC content. And if you can, please also support us on patreon.com/theQuagrain. We will greatly appreciate it. And don't forget, nitro is the glory.